Chapter 1042. She's gone. She's really gone. The Emperor Zhao in red thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. He didn't even bother with chanting as he carefully searched for her. She was said to be the B***starred of the Yun family. Even her talkative demonic beast was gone. How is this possible? It's impossible to use teleportation magic on Fire Island. It's also impossible to use invisibility magic. Where did she go? Look, Miracle Dr. Yen is gone. Crown Prince Li Qing raised his head and pointed to the sky. The Emperor Zhao in red and Peng Lai of Gojoseon were the only ones left in the sky. They were searching for Yun Xing. 15 minutes. As expected, she didn't disappoint him. However, the Emperor Zhao in red was probably going to explode from anger. Peng Lai of Gojoseon smiled helplessly. Yun Songhai was also dumbfounded. He muttered, "Where's Shenger?" Dugu Xiao and God Wind couldn't hold themselves back either. Jean Coin stretched his back. In this world he was probably the only one who knew where Yun Xing was at this moment. In the realm meditation land, Yun Xing and Baby Sheep walked out of a magic array. That's right, Baby Sheep had told Yun Xing that it couldn't exile the Emperor Zhao in red's magic beast. Then exile me. Just exile me to any corner. After 15 minutes with a whoosh send me back. Yun Xing came up with this rotten idea, almost without thinking. In any case, the condition of her competition with the Emperor Zhao in red was that Yun Xing would win if she didn't lose within 15 minutes. The Emperor Zhao in red didn't say how she would win. Sometimes showing weakness was also a very good method. Baby Sheep was also speechless. It had stayed by the side of its mother goddess for so many years. This was the first time it heard of someone voluntarily asking to be exiled. However, the decision made by its dear master was always right. Baby Sheep thought for a while and smoothly sent Yun Xing to its headquarters, which was the realm meditation land. After Yun Xing was sent over, she looked at her surroundings. The realm meditation land was the place where the world gods were born. If Baby Sheep's mother goddess hadn't met with an accident when she was hatching him, he would have been hatched here. For Yun Xing, these 15 minutes was very leisurely. Just thinking of the scene where the Emperor Zhao in red was probably going to vomit 3 liters of blood from anger made her feel very good. Baby Sheep, Yun Xing, in the realm meditation land she found something that looked like scales. These scales were pitch black like fish scales. They looked somewhat familiar. Baby Sheep. Oh no. Baby Sheep went over to take a look. With this look, Baby Sheep was so scared that he almost peed his pants. What his master found were the scales of the Qilin boy. Yi Baiming was originally a black Qilin. When he was cultivating the burning demon art, the black Qilin scales that symbolized his evil aura peeled off one by one, and new golden scales grew out one by one. These black scales were left behind when the Qilin boy transformed into a golden Qilin. Touching the rough black scales, Yun Xing's face was as cold as frost. Baby Sheep, tell me, is this dollar? It's his scales. He's dollar. You and him have been hiding it from me. She had long felt that Dollar's every move was very unusual. The feeling Dollar gave her was completely different from other magical beasts. Sometimes it was overbearing, sometimes it was arrogant, and to those of the opposite sex who got close to it, it was fierce. Now that she thought about it, it was exactly the same as someone's reaction earlier. Yun Xing's heart was filled with mixed feelings. There was sweetness and also pain. Night Fox, how long are you going to lie to me? Baby Sheep saw that its master was very angry and shrank its wings, wanting to sneakily escape. Who knew that before it could escape, its wings were pinched by Yun Xing. Ah. Oh. Don't cry. Don't howl. Tell me, how many things have you hidden from me? If you dare to hide even a little, I'll pull out a bunch of your fur. Yun Xing gritted her teeth. Baby Sheep was very protective of its pink soft fur. When it heard that Yun Xing was going to use such a cruel method of plucking, Baby Sheep immediately became quiet. What a night fox. It actually dared to collude with her life's contract beast and deceive her. What a Baby Sheep. She didn't know how many benefits Night Fox had given it. Baby Sheep begs for mercy. Dear master, don't be angry. Baby Sheep told Yun Xing everything that had happened 3 years ago. After Yi Baiming had turned into a beast, it had brought Yi Baiming into the realm's meditation land, and then Yi Baiming had cultivated the burning demon art. Baby Sheep, dear master, the Qilin boy is also very miserable. He knows that you are very sad and wants to see you, but he was cursed by the ancient Qilin king and can't get close to you. In order to be able to see you again, he cultivated the burning demon art. The burning demon art was the most difficult cultivation technique to cultivate in the Baby Sheep family. Those who cultivated it had to experience a life worse than death. When the Qilin boy shed his vicious scales and grew golden scales, it was as if someone was cutting his flesh with a knife. It was very painful. He didn't say a word. He is a good man. Baby sheep secretly glanced at its master. Yunxing lowered her eyes and looked at the black scales on her hand. The scales were densely packed and innumerable, and each scale was stained with blood that had long since dried up. One could imagine what kind of pain Yi Baiming had experienced when he transformed into a golden Qilin. Yunsheng's long eyelashes were stained with moisture. Night Fox in order to be with her, he had suffered a lot. How could she have the heart to blame him? Baby sheep, dear master, are you not angry anymore? Baby sheep felt that its wings that had been grabbed had finally regained its freedom. It then secretly glanced at its master's expression. Its master's expression was still not very good, but it seemed that she was not so angry anymore. No matter what, baby sheep, you shouldn't have colluded with Yi Baiming to deceive me. Yunxing snorted and glared at baby sheep. The latter only felt the wool on its body tighten, and it was so scared that it curled up into a ball. Although she was very touched, this adult and child actually dared to hide it from her for so long. She could not let them off so easily. I don't want him to know that I discovered Yi Baiming's identity for the time being. Baby sheep, keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, I will not hesitate to shave all your hair. Yunxing carefully put away those black Qilin scales. When Yunxing discovered the black Qilin scales just now, she discovered that these scales were filled with energy. Qilin scales were a very good material for refining weapons. She planned to try refining black Qilin scales when she had the chance and see if there were any unexpected results. One day she would take revenge for all the suffering that Night Fox had suffered. Before Yi Baiming could recover his human body, Yunxing decided not to let Yi Baiming know that she had discovered the truth of the matter for the time being. 1 hour and 15 minutes were almost up. Yunxing could not wait to see the Emperor Zhao in red fly into a rage. Chapter 1043. In the sky above Penglai, astral winds whistled. The red-clothed Huangji's hair danced wildly like snakes. His eyes were scarlet red as he used his sorcery to search for Yunsheng's whereabouts on Penglai Island. Using magic to search for a person was a very exhausting act, but the Emperor Zhao in red didn't care so much. He only knew that time was ticking by and the 15 minutes he promised was almost up. On the ground, Tang Yuan's crown prince Li Cheng and the Hunters Guild's vice president opened their mouths like idiots. Speaking of which, this person disappeared. What will the result be? Tang Yuan's crown prince whispered. That's hard to say. On the mainland, there is no precedent for such a competition. The Hunters Guild's vice president scratched his head. Divine Wind's emerald green eyes also flashed with doubt. The moment Yunxing disappeared, Divine Wind had already quietly used the tracking technique. When it came to tracking, no one was better than the wind elf in the world. He manipulated the surrounding wind, whether it was the wind on land or the wind in the sea, to search for Yunsheng's whereabouts. But even he couldn't find Yunsheng. If Yunsheng's parents weren't still here, he would really think that Yunsheng had escaped. However, Yunsheng was probably the only person in the world who could escape under the nose of the Emperor Zhao in red and Penglai of Gojoseon. Duguxiu looked at Jean Coin suspiciously. Jean Coin squinted his eyes and looked comfortable under the sun. After 15 minutes, the Emperor Zhao in red's handsome face was already sweating. He had already searched several main islands of Penglai. Not to mention Yunsheng, he couldn't even catch Yunsheng's breath. But his magic power was mostly consumed. The Emperor Zhao, 15 minutes have passed. Penglai of Gojoseon coughed softly. As soon as he finished speaking, a pink magic array reappeared in front of everyone as if it had been prearranged. Ah! The Grand Yen Kingdom hand has appeared. Li Cheng couldn't help but shout. On the ground, the gazes of Divine Wind and the others suddenly focused on Yunsheng. Dollar's golden eyes were full of pride. He stared at the sky, at the woman who was like a beautiful moon. If she couldn't even last a moment under the Emperor Zhao in red's hands, then she wouldn't be the little wild cat that he was familiar with. Yunsheng, you really didn't disappoint me. Yunsheng, you're so shameless. How dare you run away? The red-robed emperor was infuriated. Was this woman trying to anger him to death? She had appeared in 15 minutes, no more no less. Yunsheng wasn't embarrassed at all. She was arrogant and calm. Jifang, you've been famous for a long time. Who said that a battle must be fought with real swords and spears? Penglai of Gojoseon made it clear that as long as I don't lose in 15 minutes, he will let my family of 3 leave. Penglai of Gojoseon, do you mean what you said? Yunsheng's black eyes were full of cunning. Beneath the mask, the corners of Jirumo's mouth slowly curved upwards. Yun Sheng was probably the only one who could act so shamelessly and confidently. However, when Jirumo saw Yun Sheng's shameless act, an indescribable feeling slowly grew in his heart. I'm going to kill you. The Emperor Zhao in red suddenly sped up, making it impossible for people to see his attack clearly. He pounced on her face and used his magic scepter to hit her head. Emperor Zhao, please think twice before you act. In a flash, Jirumo was already in front of Yun Sheng. Although the expression on his face couldn't be seen clearly at this moment, a storm was brewing in his amber eyes. Jirumo, how dare you stop I? The Emperor Zhao in red was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. Bo, shameless, the Emperor Zhao in red didn't mean what he said. Everyone come and take a look. Bo Sheep raised its voice and jumped up and down in the air. Its voice was like a loudspeaker. Jifeng, don't be so shameless. If you push me too far, I will make Peng Lai completely disappear from the mainland. Master of Molten Flame, listen to me. Yun Sheng's eyes flashed with a fierce light. She raised her hand. There was almost no chant, just a thought. Above the sea of Peng Lai. Bang, there was an earth-shattering sound and the whole Peng Lai island seemed to shake. On the sea there was a huge wave that was dozens of meters high as if there was a storm. The Peng Lai fishing boat that was fishing at sea dropped the fishing net in hand. The residents living on the beach all gathered around. Oh my God, what did they see? On top of the huge wave that was dozens of meters high stood a giant. Its body was spitting fire, and it was holding a flaming spear in its hand. I am the guardian beast of the Peng Lai volcano seal, the master of molten flame. Respected new master, what can I do for you? The master of molten flame's aura was amazing. Oh my God, that was the volcano guardian of Peng Lai. For generations it was the guardian of Peng Lai. In the eyes of ordinary people, the power of the volcano was extraordinary, and the master of molten flame was even more honorable. The fishermen and villagers were in awe. They all prostrated themselves on the ground and kowtowed to the master of molten flame. The Emperor Zhao in red was shocked. He stared at Yun Sheng angrily. You are threatening I? Do you dare to kill 13 million people of Peng Lai? Peng Lai of Gojoseon could not help but clench his hands. Did Yun Sheng really want to kill so many people of Peng Lai for her own selfishness? Could it be that he was wrong about her? Yun Sheng's eyes were full of colors. She looked at the Emperor Zhao in red with a pair of cold eyes. Everyone, let me tell you a piece of unfortunate news. Because your Lord Zhao Huang went back on his word, he is a selfish and vile person. His behavior angered the Volcano Guardian, and the Volcano Guardian will leave Peng Lai. Within a month, the volcano at the bottom of the Sea of Peng Lai will erupt. At that time, Peng Lai will be engulfed by the volcano. When Yun Sheng spoke, she used wind magic. For a moment, her voice fell in every corner of Peng Lai. The residents and fishermen heard and roared angrily. The Emperor Zhao. What the hell is going on? Peng Lai of Gojoseon, keep the volcano guardian. F***CK Emperor Zhao. We want to live and work in peace. Everyone, this is a blessing in disguise. If you want to leave Peng Lai, it is not too late. If you are willing, you can move to Zhou State. My Zhou State has a vast territory and is willing to accept the people of Peng Lai. As soon as Yun Sheng's voice fell, the residents of Peng Lai exploded. If people did not offend her, she would not offend them. If people offended her, she would kill them. Of course, Yun Sheng would not turn a blind eye to the lives of 13 million people. Since she could not kill them, she would take them in. Empty Peng Lai and let the Emperor Zhao in red be his lone Emperor Zhao. This was a beautiful move. It was a threat, but at the same time it was not a threat. On the ground, several people, including Duguxiu and Divine Wind, could not help but cheer for Yun Sheng's words. Because there were many comments in the book review section that could not be seen by the Claw Machine Gang, Defuzi continued to nag. For updates a day. If there were additional updates, she would notify them in advance. In February she had to work for half a month. Chapter 1044. It had been proven countless times that those who wanted to make Yun Sheng suffer would always end up losing the rice used to lure her. The Emperor Zhao in red was no exception. The Emperor Zhao in red had long expected that Yun Sheng was the one who had awakened the Master of Molten Flame. He had also guessed that Yun Sheng would trigger a volcanic eruption in order to destroy Peng Lai. However, the Emperor Zhao in red was not Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng was not a kind person. In her previous life, she had used her medical skills to save both bad and good people. In this life, she had also killed countless people to protect her family and friends. However, she had never forgotten that she was a descendant of the Shinong Yen family. She wore the Shinong medical bracelet on her hand. She killed people, but only those who deserved to be killed. Peng Lai had 13 million people. This was not a small crime. Did he want her Yun Sheng to be cursed for eternity? Dream on. Even if she did not kill anyone, she still had many ways to force the Emperor Zhao in Red to back down. She did not believe that the Emperor Zhao in Red would be able to remain as the Emperor Zhao in Red in a deserted Peng Lai that could erupt at any time. Yun Sheng's threat completely angered the Emperor Zhao in Red. Vile spawn. You are so sinister. The Emperor Zhao in Red's chest tightened. A few hideous wrinkles suddenly appeared on his originally handsome face. His black hair was suddenly mottled with white. As the saying goes, when a person is too sad, his hair will turn white overnight. The Emperor Zhao in Red was angered by Yun Sheng. In an instant he had aged dozens of years. When it comes to being sinister, how can I compare to your excellency Emperor Zhao? Yun Sheng smiled, revealing her white teeth. Emperor Zhao, Miss Yun, now that things have come to this, why don't both of you take a step back? Miss Yun, if you leave the Master of Molten Flame behind, this prince is willing to use my life to guarantee that I will let your family of 3 leave Peng Lai. Peng Lai of Gojoseon and Ji Rumo were also seeing Yun Sheng's unique side for the first time. It turned out that Yun Sheng was not only good at medicine but she was also good at killing people. Peng Lai of Gojoseon had known the Emperor Zhao in Red for so many years, but he had never seen Emperor Zhao lose his composure like this. However, Peng Lai of Gojoseon also heaved a sigh of relief. He almost thought that Yun Sheng would become a demoness who would kill innocent people. If that was the case, what should he do? Good. Jirumo, you're such a traitor. Bastard child of the Yun family, just you wait, I will kill you sooner or later. The Emperor Zhao in Red was extremely angry. On his Emperor summoning ring, the evil aura was like the waves of the sea rolling non-stop. Peng Lai of Gojoseon and Jirumo blocked the Emperor Zhao in Red with one hand and pressed down on the Emperor Zhao in Red's ring with the other hand. Emperor Zhao, the Duqian blood seal crisis has not been resolved. Please think twice before you act. Peng Lai of Gojoseon's words were light but heavy. The Emperor Zhao in Red's eyes were red. He looked at Hu Jiusheng unwillingly, and his heart was in pain as if it was being stabbed by a knife. He would never forget the humiliation he had suffered today. Even though Hu Jiusheng had been rescued, without the heart crystal, she was like a walking corpse. Although his divine beast was powerful, he could not use it too much. Otherwise it would backfire on his body. In all these years, the number of times the Emperor Zhao in Red had used his divine beast could be counted on one hand. It was not worth it to ruin his great plan for a lowly bastard child. It was unknown what Peng Lai of Gojoseon and the Emperor Zhao in Red said, but when Peng Lai of Gojoseon turned around again, the Emperor Zhao in Red's face was ashen, but he did not act up again. He did not say a word, and with a wave of magic he disappeared. Miss Yun, you can leave now. The next time we meet, I hope we will not be enemies. Ji Rumo's figure flashed and disappeared as well. Yun Sheng felt something extra in her hand. She looked down and realized that there were a few heart crystals in her hand. Her heart skipped a beat. She looked at the place where Ji Rumo disappeared and was stunned for a moment. Just as Yun Sheng was secretly guessing who Ji Rumo was, Duguxio's impatient voice came from below. Your competition is over, but mine has just begun. Duguxio was still brooding over the fact that he had lost to Yi Baiming in the past. In the past few years, he had been cultivating diligently, merged with 2 Qilin blood crystals, and combined with the power of the halberd of the divine warrior. He wanted to see if he or Yi Baiming was stronger when both of them had the halberd of the divine warrior. Hold on, Duguxio. I don't have time to blindly join in with you. Genie, we have to leave immediately. Yun Sheng was burning with anxiety. She was worried about Hu Sheng's safety. Roar. Women shouldn't meddle in men's business. Jin Yi and Duguxio roared at Yun Sheng at almost the same time. Yun Sheng was dumbfounded. Were they rebelling? They actually dared to roar at her. As soon as she finished speaking, Duguxio roared angrily. His entire body erupted with black flames. Biting cold fighting aura. The fighting aura swirled and formed a mighty black Qilin. Black scales grew on his body and limbs. In the blink of an eye, he had already gone berserk and was ready to launch a fatal attack. Genie didn't show any signs of weakness. He arched his beautiful back and planted his forelimbs on the ground. His entire body was surrounded by golden battle aura that was like clouds. You guys aren't leaving, right? I'll leave. Yun Sheng was also annoyed. What time was it now? These 2 fighting idiots still wanted to fight? If they want to fight, then let them fight to their heart's content. After saying that, Yun Xing gave an order. Yun Songhai hugged Hu Jiuxing, God Wind, and Indigo like stars. They flashed across the sky and disappeared without a trace. Oh no, the little wild cat is angry. Genie secretly complained. He was also blinded by his man's desire to win. The world was big, but coaxing his wife was the most important thing. Forget it, this fight I won't fight. Jin Yi's golden eyes flashed with a trace of regret. He no longer had the heart to fight. He stepped on 4 golden clouds and chased after his wife without saying goodbye. Duguxiu just got into position and was ready to have a big fight. Who would have thought that Genie would actually run away? Bastard knight? Duguxiu was about to explode when suddenly, a majestic voice sounded in his mind. His father, He Yao, ordered him to immediately go to the Duqian Blood Realm. In 3 days the Ba Huang tribe would attack the Duqian Blood Seal. Duguxiu's eagle eyes narrowed. This day finally came. He couldn't tell whether he was happy or depressed. Duguxiu's Do Chi wings flapped and he slid hundreds of meters away. The sky, which was originally bustling with noise and excitement, became empty in an instant. Tang Yuan, Crown Prince Li Cheng and the Vice President of the Hunters Guild woke up from their dream. In a fit of anger, Yun Sheng, who left the main island of Penglai, didn't stop until she reached the border between Penglai and later Qin. Father, here are 4 heart crystals. Take Mother back to Taiyuan Mountain first. Use the heart crystals to stabilize Mother's emotions. After I save Hu Sheng, I will immediately go find you. She took out the heart crystals that Ji Rumo gave her and gave them to her father, Yun Songhai. Chapter 1045. Hu Jiuxing had already woken up. After being hit by Yun Sheng's corpse puppet, she was much quieter than before. Along the way she only held Yun Songhai's hand quietly, like a lost child. Yun Sheng's heart ached when she saw her mother like this, but without finding the heart lamp, she couldn't find out the reason for her mother's amnesia. But now Yun Sheng couldn't find the heart lamp. The most urgent thing now was to get to the Duqian Blood World and find Hu Jiuxing. Yun Sheng could only talk about her mother's treatment and put it aside for the time being. Sheng, the power of the Si Ming is not to be underestimated. You must not be rash. Yun Songhai was also worried about his daughter going to the Blood World, but he also understood that his daughter couldn't let Hu Xing be killed. Father, don't worry. God Wind and Sister Lan will go with me. As Yun Xing spoke, she didn't forget to sneak a peek behind her. That damn night fox, he still hadn't caught up. Then be careful. Father will wait for your return. Yun Songhai reminded her a few more times, then left with Hu Jiuxing. God Wind, I'll have to trouble you this time. We have to get to the Duqian Blood World in the shortest time possible. Yun Sheng's wind magic couldn't travel 1,000 miles in a day. She could only use God Wind's wind escape to travel day and night to the Duqian Blood World. But even so, it would take her at least 2 days to get to the Duqian Blood World. Yun Sheng could only hope that everything was not too late. When Dollar arrived, Yun Sheng and the others had already left. He was angry and paced back and forth in the same place. Suddenly he found a mark with a small tuft of pink hair left on it. Duqian Blood World? The little wild cat was still going to save that Hu Sheng. Dollar no longer hesitated. He kicked off the ground and headed for the Duqian Blood World. In the Duqian Blood World, outside the Duqian Blood Seal. After 3 years, the Duqian Blood Seal, which had been severely damaged, had begun to show signs of collapse. The originally blood-red blood seal had begun to wither, slowly turning from red to black. It looked like it was on the verge of collapse and would collapse at any time. A blood sacrifice magic array the size of half a football field was being drawn. Unlike ordinary magic arrays, the blood sacrifice magic used to repair the Duqian bloodstains required 1 day and 1 night to draw. Moreover, a lot of preparation work was needed before the drawing could be completed. First of all, the magic array had to be maintained by a magician at the level of a magician. Secondly, the blood of hundreds of magical beasts were needed to draw the magic array. Lastly, the blood of the blood sacrifice had to be the blood of a descendant of Celestial Fox. Elder Si Ming herself was a magician at the level of a magician. As for the other 2 conditions, the temple and the Zhao state had cooperated for the past 3 years and achieved them one by one. After Hu Sheng was abducted by Elder Si Ming halfway, she rushed to the Duqian Blood World. What awaited her was the blood sacrifice. Several magicians from the Zhao state stood beside the magic array expressionlessly. They chanted and cast spells. Almost 100 magical beasts were beheaded in front of Hu Sheng. The heads of the beasts rolled on the ground. The fresh red blood was a ghastly sight. The air and the soil were mixed with the smell of blood. Hu Sheng, her hair disheveled, knelt on the ground. Her face was as pale as a sheet of paper. She looked at the struggling magical beasts and tears rolled down her cheeks. Why? Why did you kill them? Wuxia murmured. She knew that it wouldn't be long before she would be beheaded like these demonic beasts. When her blood flowed into the magic formation, the magic power of the magic formation would activate and repair the damaged Great Heavenly Blood Seal. Elder Si Ming stood beside her. If you want to hate your bloodline. Between you and that woman only one can survive. Since Rumo wants to protect that woman, he can only kill you. When Elder Si Ming first saw Wuxia, he almost thought that Wuxia was Yun Sheng. But this was no longer important. What Elder Si Ming needed to do now was to complete the blood sacrifice. Elder Si Ming, all the beast's blood is ready. We're just waiting to kill this celestial fox. The magician's blood-stained hands stung Wuxia's eyes. She didn't say a word. She seemed to be scared out of her wits. I'll kill her myself. Elder Si Ming pushed Wuxia to the center of the blood sacrifice magic array and raised his magic scepter. Wuxia lowered his head. Let her go. A roar made Wuxia raise his head. What did she see? A bandit who was covered in wounds, rushed over like a heavenly soldier. Diske, how dare you chase after me? Why is this kid so stubborn? Kid, I know your master Shi Huang. I'm only sparing your life because of him. Don't push your luck. Elder Si Ming had to stop. Earlier in Peng Lai, Elder Si Ming suddenly appeared and defeated Abandon, Gufeng and the others. Sister Lan went to find Yun Sheng for help. Abandon was the most stubborn one. Along the way he fought with Elder Si Ming several times. Elder Si Ming took into account that he was from the mage elite camp and saw how stubborn Abandon was. He didn't want to kill him and only severely injured him. Who knew that Abandon would chase after him again and again? Chi-Chi was in a sorry state. His handsome face was already stained with blood. Abandon, go. Don't worry about me. I'm a remnant of Celestial Fox. If you save me, you'll be in trouble. Wuxia couldn't help but shout. She was just a piece of trash. She wasn't worth Abandon risking his life for. Kid, did you hear that? If you save this woman, you'll become the enemy of the entire continent. Elder Si Ming guided him patiently. Abandonment broke into a smile. At that moment, his entire face seemed to be glowing with life. *CK off. So what if I become the enemy of the entire continent? I'm not afraid. If you want to kill her, you'll have to step over my dead body. This was the first time Wuxia saw Abandon smile. It was also the first time Wuxia cursed Abandon. However, she had an indescribable feeling. It was a kind of happiness that came from being cared for. Wuxia had never felt this kind of happiness in his more than 10 years as a human being. So, there was still someone in this world who cared about her. Abandon had always been a cold-hearted person. Only at this moment did he seem like a living person. You don't know what's good for you. If you want to save someone, you should know your place. I'm going to kill her. Let's see how you save her. Men, get into formation. Elder Si Ming's patience was running out. As soon as he finished speaking, several mages from the temple raised their magic scepters. They chanted in unison. Rays of magic light as bright as day shot out, forming a light barrier that covered the entire blood sacrifice magic circle. Abandon saw this and stomped his feet. However, as soon as he got close to the magic circle, he felt a strong repulsion force that sent him flying. Chapter 1046. Abandon charged again, but he was still bounced back. It's useless. This is the bright crystal wall of the temple. With your current strength, you can't break through it. Elder Si Ming sighed. He couldn't help but cherish this stubborn young man. It was a pity that he was from the mainland's magic elite camp. Otherwise, he would have recruited him into the temple. Abandon was still unwilling to give up. He launched several attacks with magic. However, every time his magic hit the bright crystal wall, it was like hitting a sponge. It was completely ineffective. The bright crystal wall was similar to Gufeng's ball of light of the sun. However, the ball of light of the sun was more flexible and could be maintained by Gufeng alone. On the other hand, the bright crystal wall was a group magic. It could only be maintained by many mages and could not be maintained for more than an hour. However, this 1 hour was enough for Elder Si Ming to kill Wuxia and complete the blood seal's restoration. Ignore that kid. The rest of you start preparing for the blood sacrifice chant. Elder Si Ming didn't want to delay any longer. He ignored Abandon's repeated attempts and raised his magic scepter again. God of light, please bestow upon me the thunder slash to slay all evils in the world. Wuxia had already forgotten his fear. He just stared at Abandon. Wuxia's gaze fell into Abandon's eyes. No, definitely not. Let Wuxia die here. Abandon failed to break through the bright crystal wall again. This time he didn't use any magic. Little Green, help me this time. I want to break that damn bright crystal wall. Little Green hissed on Abandon's magic scepter. Its body turned into a green light and entered between Abandon's eyebrows. A green brand appeared on Abandon's forehead. After the brand appeared, Abandon's body changed. Strange patterns that looked like scales and tattoos grew on his limbs. They turned into a coiling void serpent. The green snake's eyes were as big as lanterns. There was a pair of giant wings on its back. The snake's body was as big as a millstone. The most terrifying thing was that there was a small section of greenish-black horn on its head. That's a flood dragon. Chang Ximing was shocked when he saw the void serpent. A snake that grows horns at 500 years old is a flood dragon. From the looks of it, it doesn't look more than 20 years old, but it actually has such a terrifying demonic beast. The void serpent was neither a spell nor a battle technique. For a moment, even Elder Ximing couldn't determine what kind of trick Abandon had used. If Yunsheng was here, she would definitely recognize that it was a kind of fusion divine technique, similar to the fusion of Yunsheng and Popo. However, it was only because Baby Sheep was a universe god that he was able to possess the body fusion divine skill. Little Qing, who had always been inconspicuous, actually had such an innate talent. After the void serpent took form, it flapped its huge wings and circled above the radiant crystal wall. It opened its ghastly mouth and spat out a ball of sizzling green lightning. Countless poisonous electric arcs that looked like tiny snakes crackled on top of the lightning ball. Rumble, the green lightning ball collided with the light crystal wall. It was as if two meteorites had collided. Magical sparks appeared between the green lightning ball and the light crystal wall, flashing with different colors of light. The people inside the radiant crystal wall seemed to have experienced a small-scale earthquake, and were shaken to the point that they were swaying unsteadily. The power of the light crystal wall was forcefully weakened. However, the power of the green lightning ball was not limited to that. Little Qing was born with poison. When the lightning ball that it spat out hit the light crystal wall was dyed with a layer of green poison. The magicians who released the light crystal ball instantly felt poisoned. Their hands that were holding the magic scepter turned green. Not good, this magic attack is poisonous. Chang Ximing was shocked. He quickly used light magic to heal the magicians. Little did he know that Little Qing's poison was extremely strong. In just a moment, it had already seeped into their veins and blood. Even if they were treated in time, the hands of these magicians would be crippled. Kid, you dare to hurt the people of my Dharma temple. Today I will not let you live. Chang Ximing was furious. He didn't want to kill Abandon, but this kid's strength was not ordinary. Today, if he didn't kill him, the blood sacrifice would not be able to proceed normally. Light demon slaying sword. Chang Ximing had no time to care about Hu Sheng. He chanted, and the magic power merged with the magic scepter in his hand. A light sword that was a few meters tall floated above his nostrils. The sword contained a strong power of light. It pierced towards the void serpent. The void serpent knew that it would not be able to dodge the sword of light. It opened its huge mouth and swallowed the light sword. The light sword carried a strong power of light magic. When Little Qing swallowed it, it felt a burning power of light pierce into its abdomen. The power of light was scattered all over the place, tearing at its internal organs. Hiss hiss, the void serpent writhed in pain in the air. Kid, give up. Do you think you can swallow the light sword? Chang Ximing stared at the void serpent in the sky. He was secretly amazed. The light sword could break through anything tough. This void serpent did not admit defeat. It showed how strong its master's willpower was. I will never give up. The void serpent spat out a few words with difficulty. Its tail suddenly swung and collided with the light crystal wall. Even in the face of pain that was worse than death, he still wanted to save Hu Sheng. Kid, do you love this woman that much? You're willing to give up your life for her? Chang Ximing had never experienced the love between a man and a woman in his life. He did not understand why Qi would rather risk his Dharma soul being destroyed to save Hu Sheng. You're wrong. I didn't save her because I love her. Qi was still struggling to hold on. His skin had begun to crack. Blood flowed out like a small stream. Qi's words made Hu Sheng's body tremble slightly. Hu Sheng's beautiful face had a touch of bitterness. Yes, she almost forgot that Qi did not love her. It turned out that no one cared about her. Since you don't love her, why did you save her? Chang Ximing was even more confused. It was said that the love between a man and a woman could make people do irrational things. He had indeed seen many people around him become abnormal because they fell in love with a woman. The Emperor Zhao in red was like that. Peng Lai of Gojoseon and Ji Rumo were also like that. Those two were peerless geniuses. But for the mother and daughter, they went against their hearts and did unusual things. Chang Si-ming saw that she was willing to do anything for Hu Sheng. He naturally thought that the two were lovers. Because she's my friend. And also because she's the one I love, the one I promised to protect. Qi said silently in his heart. In order to fulfill Yun Sheng's promise, he would do anything. Chapter 1047. After repeated collisions, the void serpent's tail finally smashed the light crystal wall. Several temple mages could not hold on any longer. They vomited blood and knelt on the ground. Almost at the same time. Poof. After the sound of a blunt weapon piercing flesh, the sword of light pierced the void serpent's abdomen. Blood splattered like rain. Hu Sheng looked up. Blood fell on her face and covered her eyes. Friends, in Hu Sheng's eyes, tears fell like short pearls. They were red. She was just a friend. That's right, Abandon was her friend. Yun Sheng was also her friend. At least they still cared about her. As friends she could not drag them down. She could not drag them down anymore. Abandon, thank you, Hu Sheng said softly. She stood up abruptly and rushed forward. Catch her. Elder Si-ming was treating a few mages. He did not expect that Hu Sheng, who had been quiet all this time, would run away. In front, the dark red Duqian blood seal was like a beast with its mouth wide open. It stared at Hu Sheng fiercely. At this moment she was not afraid and did not waver. The cowardly Hu Sheng resolutely rushed towards the Duqian blood seal. 3 years ago, the Duqian blood seal was set up by Elder Si-ming and the second elder of the elite camp. Hu Sheng did not know magic or doqi. She was just a body of flesh and blood. If she bumped into the magic seal she would die. No. Hu Sheng. Abandon was inexplicably distressed. He turned into his human form and wanted to stop Hu Sheng. No one could stop Hu Sheng. She bumped into the Duqian blood seal. When Hu Sheng rushed towards the Duqian blood seal, a white light burst out from her body. Blood, like a gorgeous firework, exploded on the Duqian blood seal. When Abandon caught up, Hu Sheng's body slid to the ground like a puddle of mud. Abandon hugged her tightly. When he checked, his heart turned cold. Hu Sheng actually burned her own soul force. Could it be that she was prepared to die? Hu Sheng, why are you so foolish? Tears welled up in his eyes. Qi, don't be sad to be able to die in your arms. I'm very happy, tell Yun Sheng, to bring my ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe. If there's an afterlife, I want to meet you before. Yun Sheng. After saying that, Hu Sheng closed his eyes forever. There was a bright smile on her face, and a drop of dark red tear rolled down from the corner of her eye, like the finest ruby. Hu Sheng. Abandoned roared at the top of his lungs like a wounded lone wolf. As it turned out, that woman also had a stubborn temper. Kit, hand her over to me. Her blood can strengthen the Duqian blood seal and protect the safety of the continent. Hand over the corpse and I'll spare your life. Hu Sheng had just died and her blood could still be used for a blood sacrifice. Even now, Elder Si-ming was still unwilling to give up on the blood sacrifice. Even now you still want to use her as a blood sacrifice. Temple, haha, what a temple. What justice, what protection of the continent, it's all bullshit. You only know how to bully weak women. Don't even think about touching her. Hu Sheng said that she would let Yun Sheng bring her ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe. Before Yun Sheng came he would definitely protect Hu Sheng's corpse. Abandoned was hit by the sword of light and was also seriously injured. He was no match for Elder Si-ming. Stubborn. Elder Si-ming was furious. He waved his hand and was about to kill Abandoned. Right at this moment, Abandoned felt a series of sounds like eggshells being peeled off behind him. Elder Si-ming, look. A group of people from the temple trembled as they pointed at the Duqian blood seal. There was a hole in the Duqian blood seal. That hole was constantly expanding. As the hole expanded, a large number of cracks appeared on the blood seal. The Duqian blood seal was about to collapse. What's going on? Why is the blood seal collapsing prematurely? Elder Si-ming was terrified. It only took a hit from Hu Sheng. How could the blood seal be so fragile? He glanced at Hu Sheng. Damn it, this woman burned her soul energy. She wants the Duqian blood seal to collapse. Elder Si-ming used the cruelest method to kill almost 100 demonic beasts. This action completely enraged Hu Sheng. The beast blood of the 8 Wastelands beast clan in her body had finally awakened. She wanted to use her life to take revenge on the temple and the humans who killed countless demonic beasts. Although Hu Sheng didn't know magic or combat energy, she had the blood of the Celestial Fox people in her body. She was also the saintess of the celestial fox people. She had a purer soul energy than anyone else. This life energy met the Dutian blood seal formed by the hatred and hostility of countless demonic beasts. It was like fire meeting water or ice meeting sunlight. This caused the already fragile Dutian blood seal to show signs of collapsing prematurely. Activate the blood sacrifice magic circle. Although the most important celestial fox blood was missing, the blood sacrifice magic circle drawn with the blood of hundreds of demonic beasts should be able to stabilize the blood seal temporarily. While the blood seal was stabilized, they had to find another person with the blood of the celestial fox to draw another blood sacrifice magic circle. Abandon took the opportunity to carry Hu Sheng, whose body was starting to turn cold. He retreated to the side and watched coldly. The magicians of the temple, including Elder Si Ming, gathered together and began chanting together. Within the blood sacrifice magic circle, the blood of the hundreds of demonic beasts started burning like flames, forming clouds of blood mist that surged towards the Dutian blood seal. The blood mist merged with the blood seal and started to repair the gap. The blood seal, which was originally restless, gradually calmed down. The blood sacrifice magic circle is a success. Elder Si Ming's old face relaxed slightly, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Abandoned? What's going on? Gu Feng and Dong Huangling rushed over. The two of them were separated from Abandoned earlier. When they found Abandoned, they only saw Hu Sheng, who was already dead. Hu Sheng is dead. He was forced to death by the people of the temple. Abandoned lowered his head. The people of the temple are inhumane. Hu Sheng is just a weak woman. Why did they do this to her? Dong Huangling was furious. Dong Huangling and Hu Sheng were also friends. Princess Dong Huang, what do you mean by that? Everything that the temple did was for the sake of the peace of the continent. Elder Si Ming saw that the Dutian blood seal was gradually stabilizing, so he ordered the magicians to maintain the blood sacrifice magic circle. Executioner, I have already heard that the temple and the Zhao state are in cahoots. You and the Emperor Zhao in red are the murderers who harmed Yun Sheng and her family, Dong Huangling spat. Just when Elder Si Ming was about to explode, a magical radiance suddenly flashed beside him. The Emperor Zhao in red and Peng Lai of Gojoseon arrived one after another. Seeing the Emperor Zhao in red, Elder Si Ming's old face turned red. He said guiltily, Senior brother, the mission failed. Saintess Celestial Fox committed suicide. She used her soul energy to open a gap in the blood seal. Chapter 1048. The Emperor Zhao in red looked at the Dutian blood seal. Indeed, there was an obvious hole in the seal. Although it had been repaired, the hole could become a hidden danger at any time. Since one is dead, let's catch another one. There is another way to completely repair the Dutian blood seal. That is to find the B** starred from the Yun family. She also has the bloodline of the celestial fox. Capture these people. They are all friends of that B** starred from the Yun family. With them in our hands, the B** starred from the Yun family will definitely come to us, the Emperor Zhao in red said coldly. This. Elder Si Ming seemed to be worried. She quickly glanced at Peng Lai of Gojoseon. He had already seen that Yun Sheng valued friendship a lot. She would even try her best to save the saintess of the celestial fox whom she met by chance. Needless to say, these people were her best friends. When he was in Peng Lai, he was forced to let go of Yun Sheng. This time he would definitely not let go of Yun Sheng. In order to repair the blood seal, he would kill Yun Sheng. This time he would not let the Yun family know about it, right? When Abandoned, Dong Huangling and the others heard this, their expressions changed. Gu Feng, cover Abandon and escape. Dong Huangling didn't dare to hesitate at all. The red-clothed Zhao Huang, Chang Si Ming and the Peng Lai king who was still a friend or foe. Moreover, Qi was heavily injured. Even if she had Dong Huang Qing with her, she could only give it her all. They could not become a burden to Yun Sheng. Gu Feng hesitated for a moment. He knew that he couldn't be of much help here. He grabbed Green and teleported, wanting to escape first. Trying to escape? The Emperor Zhao in red did not chase after them. He only opened his hand and clenched his fingers. In the sky, an invisible magic net suddenly appeared. The magic net was about to trap Gu Feng and Abandon. Seeing this, Dong Huangling gritted her teeth. She took out Dong Huang Qing and started chanting. Dong Huang Qing flew into the air and sucked in the magic net. That's. The Emperor Zhao in red's expression changed slightly as he looked at the ancient bronze pin with a strange expression. The 8 Barons' divine artifact, Dong Huang Qing. Who would have thought that Dong Huangqing had been hiding in the body of Emperor Donghuang's descendant? Haha, the heavens are helping me. I would like to see how brilliant Dong Huangqing is. The Emperor Zhao in red was not angry when he saw that the magic prison net was taken away. Instead he was happy. The Zhao state had been painstakingly searching for the 8 barren divine artifacts. Finally he found one. The Emperor Zhao in red flipped his hand and waved it. A purple and blue ball of magic lightning appeared in his hand. He then threw it at Dong Huangqing. Thunder God's Break was one of the Emperor Zhao in red's ultimate magic. The ball of lightning carried a terrifying force as it charged toward Dong Huangqing. Dong Huangling didn't dare to be careless. She chanted faster and faster. When the ball of lightning was sucked into Dong Huangqing's body, Dong Huangqing shook violently. Dong Huangling felt as if she was struck by lightning. She felt a surge of blood rush up her head as she spat out a mouthful of blood. Even if it was an 8 barren divine artifact, its effects would be different when used by different people. Although Dong Huangqing was powerful, her own cultivation base was too weak. There was a difference of several levels between her and the red-clothed Zhao Huang. The Thunder God's Break was incomparably ruthless. Dong Huangling was unable to withstand it for a moment. Seeing that Ling was injured, Gu Feng's heart was burning with anxiety. Even Qi's expression changed. I'm fine. Dong Huangling held back the blood in her throat and took a deep breath. Hurry up and leave. We can't let this old man's scheme succeed. You have guts. Unfortunately you are too weak. You don't deserve to have a divine artifact. Dong Huangqing I subordinate should have it. The Emperor Zhao in red laughed cruelly. He teleported and sent a palm strike towards Dong Huangling trying to snatch Dong Huangqing. However, just as the Emperor Zhao in red was about to attack, an even faster figure appeared in front of him and saved Dong Huangling Penglai of Gojoseon? Dong Huangling didn't understand why Penglai of Gojoseon would save her. Jiromo. You keep on stopping I? Are you trying to betray Penglai? The Emperor Zhao in red flew into a rage out of humiliation. He almost got Dong Huangqing. Including the Netherworld Ghost Key, this was the second time Jiromo stopped him from getting the 8 barren divine artifact. Romo, are you crazy? Don't get into a conflict with senior brother. Elder Si Ming said worriedly. No. With me here no one can touch her. Penglai of Gojoseon, Jiromo shook his head. What an ingrate. You are really trying to betray Penglai. Today I will help Penglai clean up. If I can nurture a Jiromo, I can also kill a Jiromo. The Emperor Zhao in red was furious. Senior brother, calm down. Rumo is only temporarily bewitched by that woman. Elder Si Ming said anxiously. However, the furious the Emperor Zhao in red and the cold Jiromo ignored her advice. Emperor Zhao in red, use my soul to summon the ancient divine beast. With the power of the divine beast, I will punish the good and punish the evil. The Emperor Zhao in red chanted. From the summoning ring, the sound of a baby crying could be heard. A huge summoning array appeared. Princess Donghuang, the 3 of you please leave quickly. Leave this place to me. In the face of the increasing pressure from the demonic beasts, the Penglai King Jiromo had a grave expression on his face. Dong Huangling Gufeng and the other 2 didn't dare to delay. The 3 of them immediately ran towards the outside of the Duqian blood realm. Junior brother, you go after them. I alone will be enough. The Emperor Zhao in red sneered. Behind him, the mountain-like figure of a beast became clearer. Elder Si Ming looked at Jiromo worriedly. Elder Si Ming knew Jiromo's character better than the Emperor Zhao in red. Once he made a decision, no one could stop him. Elder Si Ming sighed and went to chase after Dong Huangling and the others. The Emperor Zhao in red summoning was completed. The Emperor Zhao in red summoning beast, which was also the only divine beast in the boundless continent, finally revealed its true form. The ancient divine beast Jiaoying, which had 9 heads and could spit out ice and fire magic attacks at the same time, appeared. It had 9 red heads but only 1 body. The red heads were like venomous snake heads, constantly moving, emitting a dangerous aura. Jiaoying, kill him. The Emperor Zhao in red's eyes were red. Anyone who stood in his way would be killed. Even Jiromo, whom he had groomed himself, was no exception. The moment Jiaoying appeared, it shot out several fire arrows and ice blades, launching a ferocious attack towards Jiromo. Armor of light, grant me the strongest defense. A layer of crystal-like armor condensed on Jiromo's body. Light blade slash, grant me the strongest attack. On the magic scepter, all kinds of light magic attacks emerged one after another. Jirumo was extremely agile. He dodged Jiao Ying's attacks time and time again. But against a divine beast like Jiao Ying, normal magic attacks were useless. Forbidden spell of light, glory of the sun and moon. Jirumo raised his magic scepter when he couldn't defeat Jiao Ying. Chapter 1049. Penglai of Gojoseon. Jirumo's magic scepter shone brightly at that moment. A sun and a moon rose in the sky. The sun and moon were lifelike, just like the real sun and moon. It was just that the light emitted from the sun and moon wasn't ordinary light. Instead, it was light that was infused with light magic. It was a super magic light. The Duqian blood world was shrouded in blood mist all year round, and it was dark. The sun and moon that had suddenly appeared in the sky lit up the earth. The Emperor Zhao in red saw the sun and moon in the sky. His victorious face was filled with fear. How could it be possible to create a scene of the sun and moon? This kind of magic was no longer a simple esoteric magic. Jirumo actually comprehended a forbidden magic by himself. Moreover, it was the most difficult light and dark magic among all magic. It was a light magic, forbidden magic. As soon as the magic sun and moon shine together was released, the light landed on the Jiao Ying's body. It was as if it was burned by fire. Blisters immediately appeared on the Jiao Ying's thick skin. When the light landed in the Jiao Ying's eyes, it only felt a piercing pain in its eyes. Its vision turned black and it couldn't see anything clearly. Jirumo's figure flashed, and his magic scepter turned into a light blade. He chopped off one of the Jiao Ying's heads. On the other side of the Duqian blood world, Gufeng carried Hu Sheng's corpse on his back and Dong Huangling, supported Qi. The three of them retreated from the Duqian blood world. However, the three of them were still slower than Elder Si Ming. I don't want to fight with you juniors anymore. Come back with me obediently. Elder Si Ming saw that the three of them were all injured, but he still refused to abandon them. If you want to keep them, you have to ask for my permission first. A cold female voice suddenly appeared behind Elder Si Ming. Yun Xing, Divine Wind, and Blue finally arrived at the Duqian blood world after traveling day and night. However, she didn't expect to see something that she didn't want to see the moment she entered the Duqian blood world. Yun Xing, you're here. I'm sorry we weren't able to save Hu Sheng. She died. When Dong Huangling saw Yun Xing, other than feeling happy, she also felt a bit anxious. The Emperor Zhao in red and the Dharma temple still wanted to perform the blood sacrifice. If Yun Xing appeared now, she would be walking right into their trap. Yun Xing looked at Hu Sheng's body with mixed feelings. Who killed her? Hu Sheng committed suicide. He didn't want to be a burden to me, so he chose to commit suicide. Before she died, she asked me to tell you to send her ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe. Abandoned recalled the scene before Hu Sheng's death. He clenched his fists and glared at Elder Si Ming. Bring her ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe? Yun Xing was sad, but she also had an indescribable strange feeling. There was a kind of request that one couldn't refuse. That was the request before one's death. Although Hu Sheng had a weak personality, he made a powerful threat before he died. At the very last moment, he set up a trap for Yun Xing to jump into. When Yun Xing first met Hu Sheng had already expressed his intention to let Yun Xing replace him and become the saintess of the Celestial Fox tribe. From her point of view, Yun Xing was smart and good at scheming. She was also proficient in medicine, magic, and summoning techniques. Compared to her, Yun Xing was more suitable to become the saintess of the Celestial Fox people. Although Yun Xing had never been to the Eight Desolates continent, from the attitude of the Eight Desolates continent's descendants towards Hu Linglong, she roughly knew that the Celestial Fox tribe was currently a very weak existence in the Eight Desolates continent. Hu Xing asking her to bring her ashes back was probably just an excuse. What he really wanted Yun Xing to do was probably. But regardless of whether it was a trap or not, Yun Xing had already decided to bring Hu Xing's ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe. Because she had promised that she would send Hu Xing back to the Eight Desolates continent. The remnants of the Celestial Fox tribe deserved more than death. Yun Xing, you've come at the right time. Since you've appeared, this old man won't bother these juniors anymore. Obediently let yourself be captured, so this old man won't have to do anything. Elder Si Ming was a little resentful towards Yun Xing. If it wasn't for this woman, Penglai of Gojoseon and the Emperor Zhao in red wouldn't be teasing each other so much. Femme fatale, this was a woman like Yun Xing. What a joke. You want to use me as a blood sacrifice. Why would I obediently follow you? I'm not a fool. Elder Si Ming, for the sake of the young magistrate of the Dharma Temple, Xia Wenshu, I can overlook the fact that you forced Hu Sheng to his death. However, you actually targeted my friends and me. That's your biggest mistake. Yun Sheng's lips curled into a cold smile. Yun Sheng was a person who could clearly distinguish between kindness and hatred. The young magistrate of the Dharma Temple, Xia Wenshu, had saved her and her father's lives when she was young. In the Taiyuan ruins, he had given her a magical item that allowed her to escape a life-and-death crisis. She would always remember Xia Wenshu's kindness. However, she would never forget the grudge of the Dharma Temple. You still have the cheek to talk about Wenshu? He was bewitched by you, that's why. Elder Si Ming's face twitched the moment Yun Sheng mentioned Xia Wenshu. He was about to explode. The sky suddenly lit up. The sun and moon appeared in the sky at the same time. The entire Duqian blood realm was completely illuminated. The light Magus Gu Feng couldn't help but be stupefied. He raised his head, revealing an expression of disbelief as well as adoration. This is light magic. Then there was a shrill roar of a beast. That's... When Elder Si Ming heard the roar, his face twitched even more. Is that magic? Yun Sheng also raised her head to look at the sky. There was a blazing sun and a bright moon in the sky. The sun and the moon coexisted. Such a scene did not exist. Could it be magic? Moreover, it was not an ordinary magic. This kind of magic was almost a heaven-defying forbidden spell. Who could use such a heaven-defying magic? Romo, you actually betrayed your adoptive father, the Emperor Zhao in red, for her? Elder Si Ming lost his voice. The power of this forbidden spell had almost reached the realm of slaying gods. Ji Rumo had the intention to kill. Rumo? You mean Peng Lai of Gojoseon Ji Rumo? This forbidden light magic was cast by him? Yun Sheng did not know that Peng Lai of Gojoseon Ji Rumo was also a light magician. Wait, Ji Rumo was a light magician, and what Elder Si Ming said just now? Could it be, which stop pretending? Rumo. No, it should be Wenshu. Peng Lai of Gojoseon Ji Rumo is the young master of the temple, Xia Wenshu. In order to save your life, he broke off his relationship with the Emperor Zhao in red. Elder Si Ming was flustered and exasperated. He angrily rebuked Yun Sheng. Peng Lai of Gojoseon was the young master of the temple. Yun Sheng was shocked. But at this moment her body shook violently. The celestial fox Sarira in her body moved strangely. There was a creepy feeling from the bottom of Yun Sheng's feet to her spine. Regarding Ji Rumo's true identity, is there anyone who still guessed? Xia Wenshu is not his true identity. Thank you for your monthly votes. Chapter 1050. That inexplicable sense of fear came too suddenly. Yun Sheng couldn't even snap out of her daze. She even forgot to investigate the fact that Peng Lai of Gojoseon was Xia Wenshu. However, to everyone else present, this news was extremely shocking. That meant that among the Wuji 5 annulus, Ji Rumo Peng Lai of Gojoseon and Xia Wenshu from the temple were the same person. The temple was connected to the Zhao state. Back then, Elder Si Ming joined the temple after leaving the Zhao state. Coincidentally, Ji Rumo's talent was discovered at that time. As he couldn't summon magical beasts, there was a limit to what he could learn in the Zhao state. The Emperor Zhao in red thought that the temple was where magic was concentrated in the mainland. With Elder Si Ming's protection and Ji Rumo's talent in magic, he would definitely be able to rise to the top in the temple. Therefore, when Ji Rumo was 6 or 7 years old, he was sent to the temple to learn magic and divination. Since then, Ji Rumo had another identity. He was Xia Wenshu from the temple. Xia Wenshu didn't disappoint the Emperor Zhao in red and Elder Si Ming's expectations. He had only been in the temple for a year, but he had already broken through to become a sky sorcerer. In order to prevent people from recognizing that Ji Rumo and Xia Wenshu were the same person, the Emperor Zhao in red set up a fire. He claimed that Peng Lai of Gojoseon was disfigured in the fire, and had no choice but to wear a mask. This secret was kept secret for so many years. Ji Rumo didn't express any objections. However, after that bastard from the Yun family appeared, Ji Rumo's body unknowingly changed. The Emperor Zhao in red didn't notice this change as he had never really cared about Ji Rumo. However, Elder Si Ming Jiyu, who had watched Xia Wenshu grow up, noticed it. In Jiyu's eyes, be it Xia Wenshu or Ji Rumo, they were both perfect. He had an impeccable appearance and a talent that was the envy of the world. He had a gentle temperament and was as warm as the spring breeze to everyone. But because it was so perfect, Chang Si Ming sometimes even thought that Ji Rumo was a puppet without a heart. Just when Jiyu thought that Ji Rumo would be like this for the rest of his life, Yun Sheng's appearance gave Elder Si Ming a glimmer of hope. The puppet began to have a heart. It was also because of Yun Sheng's appearance that Ji Rumo began to go against the Emperor Zhao in red's wishes.
When he was in Penglai, he even begged Elder Si Ming not to expose the identity of the regent of Great Zhou. Elder Si Ming was shocked, but at the same time he had the mentality of a father. After some hesitation he finally agreed to Ji Rumo's request. In his heart, Ji Rumo had long been like his own flesh and blood. After so many years, Rumo had never asked him for a single favor. At that time he had a premonition that Ji Rumo would one day do something shocking for that woman. However, he didn't expect that this day would come so soon. After Elder Si Ming captured Hu Sheng, he wanted to kill her immediately. That way it could be considered as an explanation to the Emperor Zhao in red. He didn't expect so many things to happen in the middle. In order to protect Yun Sheng, Ji Rumo didn't hesitate to break off relations with the Emperor Zhao in red and used the forbidden spell, Sun and Moon Shine Shine. Elder Si Ming looked at the sun and moon in the sky, his heart was in turmoil. For a moment he didn't know what to do. Ji Rumo is Xia Wenshu? However, why is he protecting Yunxing so much? Dong Huangling had only heard of the title of Xia Wenshu, the young master of the Law Temple. However, she didn't understand why the young master of the Law Temple, Xia Wenshu, would help Yunxing so many times. Yunxing, could it be that Xia Si Ming likes you? Dong Huanglinger suddenly realized. Gufeng, who was at the side, couldn't help but complain. Linger actually had the mood to gossip at a time like this. A strange look flashed past Chi's eyes. A man who was willing to betray everything to protect a woman. If this wasn't love, then what was it? However, Yunxing didn't hear what her companions were saying. Her entire mind was stuck on that sudden feeling of horror. What was it? Due to the Shinong eyes and Trillium hand, Yunxing's 5 senses were much stronger than others. Yunxing could feel that this was a hidden threat. This threat could change the situation of the entire boundless world. Master, it's the Duqian blood seal. Something is coming out from the blood seal. The Duqian blood seal is going to collapse. Baby sheep and the demonic beasts in the exquisite beast tower were all agitated. Their sensitivity was higher than humans. They could feel that there was a powerful force rushing out from the Duqian blood seal. Impossible. The blood seal has just been repaired. How can it collapse so quickly? Elder Si Ming immediately denied. With the blood sacrifice magic array, the blood seal should be able to last for a few more days. Old fool, the soul power from life ignition caused fatal damage to the Duqian blood seal. The blood sacrifice magic array only repaired the surface layer of the blood seal. Baby sheep anxiously fluttered up and down. Inside the blood seal? Ask your beast to explain clearly what is inside the blood seal. Elder Si Ming thought that Bo sheep was trying to mislead them. Baby sheep, I'm not sure yet. But the other party has a strong evil aura. Baby sheep made a disgusted face. The only thing it could feel was that the unknown force was very filthy. Celestial Fox's tomb? Something is coming out from the Celestial Fox's tomb. Yunxing took a deep breath. This could explain why the Celestial Fox's Sarira in her body suddenly acted strangely. But what was in the Celestial Fox's tomb? Yunxing remembered that there was only a statue of fox smoke in the Celestial Fox's tomb. At the moment when Baby Sheep gave the warning. Near the Duqian blood seal, Ji Rumo and Red Coat Summon, who were still fighting fiercely, felt their eyebrows twitch. Both of them were top experts in the continent. That violent and filthy force was very close to them. They withdrew their hands at the same time and looked at the Duqian blood seal. They suddenly realized that the Duqian blood seal was constantly changing. At the original location of the Celestial Fox's tomb, a blood-red light that looked like a rock was spat out. In the light there seemed to be a figure. That blood-red light was like a sword that pierced through the heart. With a bang, it broke through the air and drilled out from the bloody hole that was created by the Celestial Fox's burning of spiritual power. At the moment when the light drilled out, a black figure appeared in the light. The appearance of the black figure was gradually revealed. It was a very strange person. It was called a person because he was still wearing a human robe. Although it was tattered, it could still be recognized that he was once a magician. But he didn't look like a human because he didn't walk like a human. His limbs were on the ground and he walked like a beast. Other than his eyes and mouth, the rest of his body was covered with long fur. Behind him there were 3 fluffy tails. Chapter 1051. The strange man, who looked like both a human and a beast, came out of the Duqian blood seal like a bolt of lightning. His speed was unbelievably fast as he pounced on the sorcerers from the temple who were maintaining the blood sacrifice magic array. As the figure flashed past, the sorcerers' faces were filled with horror. There were holes in their chests, dripping with blood and steaming hot air. They had been gouged out while they were still alive. The strange man stood in the air. The three tails behind him were particularly eye-catching. His hands were no longer human hands. They were like those of a beast with sharp claws. Several hearts that were still beating were pierced through his ghastly claws. 2 rays of thirst shot out from his eyes as if he had found the most delicious food in the world. The strange man opened his mouth and swallowed the hearts as if they were delicious delicacies. After he ate the hearts, he did not forget to lick the blood off his claws. The magic power around him expanded by a large circle. This scene fell into the eyes of Jirumo and the Emperor Zao in red. It was exceptionally strange. It tastes so good. I finally get to eat fresh meat. The strange man seemed to have not spoken for a long time. His voice was dry and unpleasant. It was as if a file had been rubbed against glass. The strange man raised his head and saw the Emperor Zao in red and Jirumo. His eyes lit up. He could tell that these two people were not ordinary people. The higher the cultivation level of a person, the more delicious their heart would be. After he swallowed it, it would be more beneficial to his magic cultivation. There are 2 more. These 2 look much more delicious than the previous ones. Which one should I eat first? The strange man stretched out his hand and swallowed his saliva in front of the Emperor Zao in red and Jirumo. He seemed to be choosing which one to eat first. Are you a human or a beast? The Emperor Zao in red could not tell the origin of the strange man. A human or a beast? I used to be a human. I also had a human name, Feng Tian. But that's all in the past. The strange man let out an unpleasant laugh. Feng Tian? Jirumo still had some recollection of this name. He was once the #1 expert of the continent's magic elite camp, Feng Tian. However, it was said that this person had gone missing during the trial of the elite camp of the continent. Unexpectedly, he was trapped in the Duqian blood seal. Moreover, he was trapped in the tomb of Celestial Fox. However, wasn't the tomb of the 8 wilderness beast kings only open to those with the same bloodline? Why was Feng Tian able to survive in the tomb of the Celestial Fox? Also, what was with his inhuman appearance? No one knew how Feng Tian entered the tomb of Celestial Fox. He had entered the Celestial Fox tomb by chance. At that time, Yun Sheng, who possessed the Celestial Fox bloodline, had accidentally used a secret passage to leave the Celestial Fox tomb. Coincidentally, Feng Tian had discovered the secret passage. Originally, Feng Tian had only entered the secret passage out of curiosity. Unexpectedly, because Yi Baiming had destroyed the tomb of the Celestial Fox, Feng Tian had been unintentionally sealed in the Duqian blood seal by the second elder and the chief of the temple, Si Ming, who had arrived later. In the blood seal, he had been influenced by countless evil auras and gradually lost his humanity. In the tomb of the Celestial Fox, he had no food and could only rely on eating the corpses that had died early in the tomb of the Celestial Fox. Those corpses were all the corpses of the Celestial Fox people who had accidentally entered the tomb of the Celestial Fox. They had died in the tomb of the Celestial Fox. Over the years, although those corpses were well preserved, they had still changed. Feng Tian had been eating them for a long time, and his body and Dharma soul had also changed bit by bit. Perhaps Feng Tian's luck was good, but he even found some Celestial Fox tribe cultivation techniques among those corpses. Feng Tian struggled at death's door while learning the Celestial Fox cultivation techniques. His body had also undergone some changes. He had slowly turned from a human into a half-human, half-beast monster. The 3 fox tails behind him had also grown after he cultivated the cultivation techniques. They were the Wind Tail, Speed Tail, Lightning Tail, Tear Tail, and Evil Tail, Slaughter Tail. At first, when he discovered that he had become like this, the proud and arrogant Feng Tian had also thought of dying. However, he accidentally discovered that his strength had also advanced by leaps and bounds because of his changes. In a short 3 years, he had actually broken through from the saint-level Dharma King to the Dharma God realm. Moreover, the more he devoured people, the faster his cultivation rose. However, because there were only dead people in the tomb of the Celestial Fox, the nutrition he could obtain from it was limited. Even though he had become like this, Feng Tian still had a thought in his heart, and that was that one day he would rush out of the tomb of the Celestial Fox and find Yi Baiming. He still remembered how Yi Baiming had humiliated him back then. He wanted to prove to everyone that he was worthy of being called the #1 genius of the continent. Therefore, with that thought in mind, Feng Tian kept waiting for the day when he would be able to break through the Duqian blood seal and return to the continent. This day had finally arrived. Hu Sheng had used his soul power to burn a part of the Duqian blood seal. This had also provided Feng Tian with an excellent opportunity. After searching for a while, he finally found the weakness of the blood seal and rushed out. Finally he saw the light of day again. Ignorant Junior Jiaoying, kill him. The Emperor Zhao in red felt disgusted when he saw Feng Tian's half-human, half-beast appearance. In the eyes of the Emperor Zhao in red, this half-beast existence was even more filthy than the Bakra orcs. The Jiaoying, who had lost one of its heads, abandoned Jirumo after receiving its master's order and roared at the sky. The remaining 8 heads spewed out raging flames. The flames surrounded the three-tailed phoenix sky, but there was no sign of pain on his face. It was as if he was just enjoying the sun. Divine beast, I have never tasted the blood of a divine beast. Kiki, let's have a taste today. The three-tailed phoenix sky let out an extremely arrogant laugh. The tail of wind behind him trembled, and his body was even faster than teleportation as he pounced towards the Jiaoying. The Jiaoying was like a mound of earth. Compared to it, the three-tailed phoenix sky's figure was insignificant. However, Feng Tian was not afraid at all. He was like a flea attaching himself to one of the Jiaoying's necks. Behind him, the evil's tail tree stood up. 2 rows of sharp, cone-like teeth immediately grew out of its mouth. Feng Tian bit the Jiaoying's neck and tore with force. The Jiaoying let out an earth-shattering cry as blood splattered. One of the Jiaoying's heads had been bitten off by Feng Tian. Damn it! The Emperor Zhao in red could not help but tremble. Within a day, the divine beast Jiaoying that he regarded as his own life had been injured repeatedly. Jirumo and Feng Tian had cut off 2 of its heads. Now, only 7 of its heads were left. Tsk, a beast is a beast. It's still not as delicious as human meat. Feng Tian tore off a piece of beast meat and chewed a few times before spitting it out in disgust. The Emperor Zhao in red's gaze was cold. He roared angrily and rushed towards the sky. However, at this moment, Jirumo's expression changed again. Behind him, the Duqian blood seal collapsed. A few sorcerers were killed, and the blood sacrifice magical array stopped operating. The Duqian blood seal, which had suffered heavy injuries, finally could not take it anymore and completely collapsed. Chapter 1052. The collapse of the Duan blood seal was like a skyscraper collapsing. The ripples caused by the collapse of the Duan blood seal affected a wide area. The entire blood realm could sense this unusual change. Everyone was shocked. Only then did they know that Baby Sheep was telling the truth. In the direction of the Duan blood seal, countless blood-red auras shot out like a rain of swords, piercing into the sky. The blood-red auras pierced into the sky, but they didn't dissipate. Instead they gathered in the sky. Yunsheng looked, there's something in the sky. Dong Huangling, trembled as she pointed at the sky. The sky of the Duan blood world was like a lake that had countless stones thrown into it. First, ripples appeared. Those ripples were still expanding. As the ripples intersected, they formed vortexes of auras. In the vortexes, fully armed demonic beast soldiers crawled out one after another. These beast soldiers were all half-human and half-beast, looking extremely rough. The leading 100 Mang bull warriors had the lower body of a bull and the upper body of a human. They held heavy axes in their hands. At this moment, another huge vortex appeared in the sky, and a hooded priestess wearing a colorful beast god priest robe appeared from it. The priestess took off her hat, revealing a charming face. Her eyes were deep and her body was enchanting. She looked down at the land that had once brought endless humiliation and blood to the 8 barren tribes. She greedily took a breath. The air of the Duan blood world was filled with blood, but to her, it was as sweet as rain. How many years has it been? Boundless land, we're finally back. We're back. We're back. Warriors, you're the vanguard of the 8 barren tribes' invasion of the boundless land. Before the leaders of the 8 tribes arrive, we'll trample on the experts of the boundless land and slaughter them like ants. The priestess finished her words. Nearly 100 ferocious barbaric bull warriors shouted in unison. They swooped down with weapons and magic staffs in their hands. Like countless fleas, they descended from the sky. They were like bulls with red eyes. Their eyes were bloodshot as they charged toward the periphery of the Duan blood world. Elder Siming and the others felt like their guts were about to explode upon seeing this. The Duqian seal collapsed. The Duqian blood world was in chaos. How could this be? Chang Ximing was shocked, his body trembling uncontrollably. Of course, the magical beasts of the 8 Wastelands beast clan. Not good. I'm afraid that the collapse of the blood seal has given the Ba Huang tribe an opportunity to form a space vortex. We have to stop them as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the Ba Huang tribe invades on a large scale and rushes out of the blood beast world, the entire mainland will be plunged into a hellish slaughter. Yun Sheng and the rest looked at the Ba Huang beast soldiers that kept coming out of the vortex, their hearts exploding. No, we need to repair the Duqian blood seal as soon as possible. Elder Si Ming was still stubbornly stubborn as she kept mumbling. Look at the situation now. Are you counting on the Duqian blood seal? Yun Sheng glared at Elder Si Ming. Then what should we do? Elder Si Ming asked. The situation had gone out of control. How many people does the temple have in the blood beast world? Also, Divine Wind, how many elf archers can you deploy in such a short time? Sister Lan, please go to the relay station at the outskirts of the Duqian blood world and gather all the people you can. We have to think of a way to seal the Duqian blood world. The more difficult the situation was, the calmer Yun Sheng became. Her personal grudges with the temple and the Zhao state had to be put aside for now. Yun Sheng's calmness also made the panicking people calm down. Elder Si Ming's face turned red. Yun Sheng's reprimand had enlightened him. The temple did not have many mages in the Duqian blood beast world. There were at least 50 to 60 mages that could be deployed. As for the Duqian relay station, there should be some adventurers from all over the world. The number of elven archers that Divine Wind could deploy in a short period of time was over 100. However, it would take at least a few hours to deploy the manpower. In this hour, how should they deal with the priestess and the bull warriors? Could they only rely on Yun Sheng, the injured Donghuang Ling Gu Feng Qi and the others to fight against 100? Moreover, that priestess of the beast god altar was clearly not a weakling. Yun Sheng looked around. Ling and the other two nodded in unison. Leave it to us, Yun Sheng replied confidently. Facing so many enemies, she was not afraid at all. Time seemed to have returned to the time when she was in the elite mage camp. At that time, she also fought side by side with her companions. Elder Si Ming, Divine Wind, Blue and the others did not hesitate. The three of them split up and rushed in different directions in the Duqian blood world. At this time, Gu Feng had already performed a simple light magic treatment on Qi. Yun Sheng placed Hu Sheng's body in the Ling Long Beast Tower. The spiritual energy in the Ling Long Beast Tower could keep Hu Sheng's body from rotting for the time being. Yun Sheng planned to wait until the crisis in the Duqian blood world was over before cremating Hu Sheng and sending him back to the Celestial Fox tribe. Rise to the sky. Yun Sheng was in the middle and the other three were on her left and right. Magic wings of different colors appeared behind the four of them, and they rose into the sky together. In the sky, the priestess was commanding the bull warriors to attack the beast blood world. Fifth priestess, there are human auras ahead. For reckless humans are approaching. The bull warrior in charge of the lookout quickly caught the whereabouts of Yun Sheng and the others. It turned out that after the plot of the Zhao state's first summoner was exposed, the high priest of the beast god altar issued a war order. The third and fifth priestess of the beast god altar led the vanguard, and the chiefs of the 8 tribes selected the elites of each tribe to attack the Duqian blood seal. Originally, the beast god altar thought that it would take some time to attack the boundless continent. After all, the Duqian blood seal still needed some time to collapse. But due to a freak combination of factors, Hu Sheng burned his soul power and Feng Tian broke out of the celestial fox tomb, causing the collapse of the Duqian blood seal to happen earlier. The fifth priestess, who was skilled in spatial magic, took the opportunity to lead her troops into the boundless continent using spatial magic, becoming the first batch of 8 wilderness beast soldiers to reach the boundless continent. She thought that her operation this time would be undetectable. Who would have thought that the humans would discover her before she even launched the attack? The priestess looked around and saw 4 young magicians blocking their way. After seeing the faces of the 4 people, the priestess was surprised. Among the 4 mages, the female mage in the middle was also a summoner. Magicians from the boundless continent? The priestess swept her seductive eyes across the 4 of them. In the end, her gaze landed on Qi, who was handsome and had an extraordinary temperament. Chapter 1053. The fifth priestess had always been arrogant, but this time she could not help but take a few more glances. The 4 of them had decent cultivation levels. They were young and even the weakest among them was a sky magician. 2 of the girls were even prettier than her. Since when did the boundless land have such outstanding talents? Except for the handsome man, the others have all been captured, especially the 2 women. This priest wants to capture them back and give them to the 3rd priest. The 5th priestess of the beast god altar did not take them seriously at all. She had to admit that the cultivation levels of these young magicians were decent, but they were just decent. They were too few in number and would not be able to make a difference. She was only the vanguard of the 8 wilderness tribes' invasion of the boundless land. As the blood seal crumbled, more spatial cracks would form. Yes. Fifth priestess. After hearing the fifth priestess's instructions, the wild bull beast soldiers could not help but sympathize with the four pitiful magicians. Unlucky fella, of all people, he had to meet the fifth priestess. The 8 priestesses of the beast god altar were all supreme existences in the 8 wilderness continent. Their statuses were similar to Elder Si Ming and Emperor Zhao. Other than the 8th priestess, who died because her identity was exposed, the 5th priestess was the most attracted to men. It was rumored that the secret to her beauty was to suck the essence of handsome men. As for the 3rd priestess, she liked beautiful human female slaves the most. In the 8 wilderness continent, countless indigenous women were tortured to death by the 3rd priestess. The 5th priestess and the 3rd priestess had a good relationship, so every time the 5th priestess found a beautiful human female, she would snatch her to the 3rd priestess. Wait, I want that sheep on your shoulder. The 5th priestess's eyes lit up as she stared at the baby sheep on Yun Sheng's shoulder. A pink magic beast? The 5th priestess was a woman and she usually liked pink things the most. The Bobo sheep had soft fur that was naturally curly and had a pair of fleshy wings. It was indeed very popular with women. Moreover, a magical beast like the baby sheep was unique in both the Boundless Continent and the 8 Wastelands Continent. No wonder the 5th priest took a liking to it. Baba, you are the sheep. Your whole family are sheep. This world deity only looks like a sheep and has the word sheep in my name. This world deity is not a sheep. When the sheep heard this, the curly hair all over its body stood up as if it had been electrocuted. A coquettish orc woman actually dared to covet its beauty. Apart from his master, Yun Sheng, no one else could understand what he was saying. Needless to say, it called itself a world deity. After all, its appearance was that of a sheep. Want it? Then exchange it with your life. Yun Sheng's voice sounded faintly. Her voice sounded gentle, but when she said the last word, as she spoke, Yun Sheng's magic scepter vibrated slightly. A dark thorn that was like a sharp knife pierced through the skull of the bull beast soldier standing at the front. The wild ox beast soldier's heavy body fell down like a collapsing wall. But just as the bull beast soldier fell to the ground, there was another wave of magic waves. On the originally flat ground, sharp earth thorns drilled out of the ground. The bull beast soldier's body was instantly pierced like a hedgehog. It could not be more dead. The whole process happened in the blink of an eye. And the whole process was caused by a seemingly harmless female sorcerer. The 5th priestess narrowed her eyes. The charming smile at the corner of her mouth disappeared. Her eyes revealed traces of coldness. Amidst the murderous intent, there was also a hint of surprise. Yun Sheng and the rest stood in the air. The 5th priestess looked over. Yun Sheng's figure did not move. She did not even chant and had already launched 2 waves of magic attacks. Even the priests of the beast god altar would find it difficult to do so in such a short time. But she did it. This woman had rich battle experience. The humans of the boundless land were completely different from the cowardly indigenous people of the 8 wastelands. Interesting. You actually dared to kill my people. Originally, I wanted to let you go on account of your face. Now, it seems that there is no need for that. Captain Bull, listen to my orders. Whoever kills that female sorcerer, I will bestow 10 drops of holy water from the beast god altar. The 5th priestess was also angered by Yun Sheng. She glanced at them and confirmed that Yun Sheng was the leader of the 4 sorcerers. The holy water from the beast god altar was similar to the water of life in Yun Sheng's immortal holy grail. It could purify a sorcerer's dharma soul and the warrior's physique. But because it was rare, only the priests of the beast god altar could possess it. Once they heard that killing a female sorcerer would be exchanged for 10 drops of holy water, the bull beast soldiers cheered like a tidal wave. They did not hesitate to surround Yun Sheng. The 5th priestess smiled sinisterly. Once 100 bull beast soldiers surrounded her, that female sorcerer would definitely be chopped into minced meat. This was the consequence of angering her. The sudden stampede of beast soldiers gave Ling Er and the rest a shock. They rushed forward to save her. Handsome little brother, you are mine. You are so handsome. If you were to be destroyed by those boorish bull beast soldiers, my heart would ache. The 5th priestess giggled and appeared in front of Abandon. She raised her finger and was about to tease Abandon. Abandon's handsome face was full of disgust. Without a word, he greeted her with a cloud of poisonous fog. Hee hee, you actually know how to use poison magic. But this kind of magic, I like it better. The 5th priestess teased. With a wave of her sleeve, a small whirlwind blew away the poisonous fog. On the other side, Yun Sheng was also surrounded by nearly 100 bull beast soldiers. The bull beast soldiers waved their heavy axes. Countless axes were like a flood, fiercely crashing into every corner of Yun Sheng's body. It looked like Yun Sheng was about to lose her cabin. At this time, a summoning array appeared under Yun Sheng's feet. In the blink of an eye, the winged beast ants buzzed. They came out from it. The sky was filled with beast ants. The number was hard to count with the naked eye. Under the command of the centipede ant general, the ant colony crazily pounced on the bull beast soldiers. Although the beast ants were small, they were very fierce. They were best used to deal with the bull beast soldiers. Wu, with a burst of excited barking, Xiao Hei pounced on the bull beast soldier and bit his tail. "Hey, hundred-legged ants, take it easy and go easy on us. You should at least give us a chance to show off." The enchanting night demon queen and the little elven queen followed closely behind. Chapter 1054. The infamous hundred-legged ant general among the magical beasts was actually called a hundred-legged little ant. Only the demon queen of the night demon would dare to call it that. In fact, although Yun Sheng had many magical beasts and all of them were very powerful, they got along very well. But occasionally the magical beasts would have a conflict, and that was the problem of who would be the first to fight each time. This problem was also called the Q problem by Yun Sheng's magical beasts. Magical beasts were naturally bloodthirsty and warlike. When they encountered a good thing like a fight, they wished they could grow a few more legs. But often they couldn't win against the hundred-legged ant general. Even though the hundred-legged ant general was the smallest of all the demonic beasts, it was still a force to be reckoned with. Yun Sheng had the #1 rearing artifact, the exquisite beast pagoda. The spiritual energy in the beast pagoda was abundant, and the reproduction of the hundred-legged ant general was even smoother. Now it had countless ant children and ant grandchildren, and it could summon more than 100,000 ant soldiers at once. Generally speaking, even a martial sage would be caught off guard when 10,000 soul-devouring ants swarmed up. The soul-devouring ants drilled into the wild bull beast's internal organs and intestines through their noses, eyes, and mouths. After a while, the wild bull beasts were all howling and rolling on the ground. The wild bull captain's situation wasn't much better. Xiao Hei had bitten it from head to toe, and it was dripping with blood. There wasn't a single piece of meat that was unharmed. "Here's our chance." The night demon queen beamed with joy. She chanted and many night demon warriors appeared behind her. The warriors raised their sharp elven spears and rushed towards the wild bull beasts. The elf queen kept shuttling through the crowd of beasts. Whenever she encountered a wild bull beast that were not dead, she would cast a frost spell and freeze them into an ice sculpture. As for Yun Sheng, she stood at the side with a leisurely expression and looked on coldly, acting like a hands-off shopkeeper. The fifth priest, who originally wanted to capture and abandon them, heard the commotion. He turned around and his face instantly turned pale. What was going on? Where did these strange magical beasts that were rare even in the 8 Wastelands continent come from? Could it be that these were all the magical beasts of that female summoner? Impossible. How could a summoner summon so many magical beasts at once? There was the ferocious Xiao Hei, the enchanting and sinister night demon queen, and the beautiful blonde woman who was responsible for the last hit in the herd of beasts. She seemed to be a king-level elf, and there was also a ferocious ant clan beast general. These magical beasts were mighty like a torrent. Nearly 100 bull beast soldiers were completely defeated. Are you scared now? Those are Yun Sheng's demonic beast army. Isn't the 8 desolate tribe very impressive? With Yun Sheng alone she can fight against 10,000. Dong Huangling heaved a sigh of relief. She had almost forgotten that compared to magic, Yun Sheng's summoned beasts were truly formidable. With these magical beasts around, they could at least hold on for a while before the others arrived. Under the battle of Yun Sheng's demonic beast army, the bull beast soldiers were either killed or gnawed into bones. Very quickly, only the 5th priestess was left. But the strange thing was that in the end, even after the bull captain had fallen, the 5th priestess did not have any intention of retreating. A poppy-like smile appeared on Rao Li's beautiful face. That smile was especially irksome in the eyes of everyone. It's really an eye-opener. I didn't expect that in the boundless continent, there would also be an existence that could become a general-level summoner. Moreover, it's a female summoner. The 5th priestess used a completely different gaze to size up Yun Sheng. In her eyes, there was no longer the look of contempt from before. At this point, the 5th priestess no longer thought that the person she met was just an ordinary female summoner. If it wasn't her who came today, she was afraid that the first vanguard team of the 8 desolate tribes invasion army would really all fall here. General-level summoner? It was the first time Yun Xing heard such a title. What? As a summoner, you haven't even heard of general-level summoners? That's right. In a place like the Boundless Continent, I'm afraid that there might not even be a general-level summoner in 1,000 years. I heard that back then, the first pope of the Zhao state, who once fought against the 8 desolate tribe leaders, was an outstanding general-level summoner. The fifth priestess shook her head. The powerhouses of the 8 desolate lands who created the 8 desolate divine artifacts had already fallen many years ago. The Boundless Continent had already fallen to the point where even general-level summoners were not known. Such a boundless continent was simply too weak to withstand a single blow. General-level summoners were a type of summoner, but they were different from ordinary summoners who could only contract 1 magical beast and at most could not contract more than 2 magical beasts. General-level summoners could control at least 3 magical beasts at the same time. Only such summoners were qualified to be called general-level summoners. General-level summoners were about 1 in 100 people in the 8 desolate lands. However, even general-level summoners could control different grades of magical beasts according to the control of their Dharma souls. What surprised the fifth priestess the most about Yun Sheng was that all of Yun Sheng's magical beasts were holy beasts. Moreover, Yun Sheng could control them very easily. This was very rare even in the 8 desolate lands. Perhaps 1 in a million people might not even be found. According to the fifth priestess's knowledge, other than the first priestess, only the 8 desolate god summoners of the 8 desolate tribes in the 8 desolate lands had such divine power. However, this woman looked so young. She definitely could not have reached the terrifying power of the 8 desolate god summoners. It's a pity that you are a human. Otherwise, you could have become a disciple of our leader. He would have been very happy to accept you as his disciple. The fifth priestess lamented. It was a pity that such a talented female summoner was going to die in her hands today. There's no need to feel pity because the dead won't feel pity. Yun Xing waved her hand and Blackie, the 100-legged ant general, the night stallion queen, and the elven queen all landed beside her. The fifth priestess alone definitely did not have the ability to block the attack of so many magical beasts. Wrong, female summoner. Sometimes the dead are the scariest, because only the dead are not afraid of death. The fifth priestess let out a ghostly laugh. In her hands there were 2 bone staffs that looked like magic scepters. However, the 2 bone staffs were very small. They looked like the forelimbs of some kind of young beast. They looked as if they were made of jade. They were emerald green, and when the fifth priest held them in his left and right hands, they looked somewhat awe-inspiring. Everyone then realized that in the battle just now, the fifth priestess did not use any magic scepters or weapons. However, what were the 2 bone staffs used for? Perhaps seeing the confusion in everyone's eyes, the fifth priestess chuckled. Because of your outstanding performance just now, you are qualified to know my name. Please allow me to introduce myself. I am the fifth priestess of the beast god altar Lin Yun. My main witchcraft is corpse sacrifice. Cold, low efficiency. Chapter 1055. The status of the beast god altar in the 8 desolates continent was similar to the status of the combination of the Dharma temple and the Zhao state in the boundless continent. However, compared to the Dharma temple that specialized in magic, the priests of the 8 desolates continent's beast god altar specialized in witchcraft. Witchcraft could also be understood as a side branch of dark magic, just that witchcraft was also added into it. The 8 priests of the beast god altar, each of them had their own unique witchcraft. For example, the first summoner that died in Penglai, he specialized in the witchcraft of fusion. As for the fifth priest, she was a corpse sacrifice. Corpse sacrifice? Could it be that she was a priest that dealt with corpses? Such a delicate and beautiful priest actually specialized in dealing with corpses? Yun Sheng and the others looked at each other. Stop pretending to be mysterious. Listen up, if you don't want to die, quickly scram back to the 8 desolates continent and never step foot into the boundless continent again. Dong Huanglinger only wanted to quickly make this eccentric woman in front of her disappear. Yun Sheng couldn't help but frown. She thought to herself, to be able to be sent as the vanguard of the 8 desolates tribe, this priestess called Lin Yun definitely isn't that simple. The boundless continent originally belonged to us, the Bakra orcs. It was because of the cunning of the humans that the Bakra orcs were tricked and chased out of the boundless continent. The Bakra orcs have waited for thousands of years. How can I, the priestess, give up so easily? It's also time to let you all see how powerful I am. The fifth priest Lin Yun smiled. She pretended to be careless as she played with the 2 jade-like bones in her hands. The 2 jade-like bones lightly knocked against each other, and a series of ding-ding-dong-dong-dong sounds could be heard. After experiencing such a cruel massacre, hearing such a pleasant melody that was like a clear spring, one's mind couldn't help but relax a little. Although there wasn't any music accompaniment, the sound of the jade-like bones knocking against each other actually formed a death rhapsody. When the music entered their ears, everyone felt that their heartbeats couldn't help but quicken. They felt as if they were suffocating and breathing became more and more difficult. Yun Sheng and the rest did not know that they had unknowingly fallen into the lich music played by the fifth priest. The predecessor of corpse witch music, was a special music used for funerals in the Eight Desolates continent. At first it was just a very ordinary piece of music, but it was accidentally discovered by a great mage that there was a mysterious power in the lich music. That mage had fused the dark witchcraft and created a lich music that was neither a spell nor a combat technique, but had terrifying power. Corpse witch music was very destructive. It could cause a person's will to be depressed and their heart to beat faster. Unknowingly, it could cause a person to be immersed in grief and despair. Some people would even commit suicide after listening to corpse witch music. The fifth priest looked at the few of them who were immersed in the music. His eyes were blank, especially goofing and abandon. They were immersed in some kind of sorrowful emotion and had completely lost their will to fight. As for Dong Huangling, tears were streaming down her face. She recalled how her father was assassinated and how her elder brother had turned into a retard. As for that female summoner, the fifth priest's dance suddenly stopped. On the face of that female summoner, that pair of eyes that were as dark as the night was looking straight at him. How is this possible? She is actually completely unaffected by corpse witch music? Indeed, corpse witch music wasn't effective on everyone. In front of two types of people, corpse witch music wouldn't be effective. The first type was that the other party's strength was obviously higher than the corpse witch music. The second type was that the other party's willpower was unprecedentedly strong and wasn't affected by corpse witch music at all. That female summoner obviously didn't belong to the first type. Could it be that her willpower was so strong to such an extent? The reason why Yun Sheng was able to resist corpse witch music was because she had lived 2 lives. She was a healer. To her, the life and death of a person was much more indifferent compared to other people. Moreover, within her body was the relic of the celestial fox people Long Huyen, the Bakra orcs who was once known as the strongest in magic. Why would she be afraid of a mere priestess of the beast god altar? What is there to be afraid of? Yun Sheng's black eyes became even deeper. She calmly took out the Millennium Ice Zither. This fifth priest was unlucky. Yun Sheng's Di Hong song happened to be the biggest nemesis of corpse witch music. Once Di Hong appeared, all the evil spirits retreated. Her fingers moved and on the zither strings, a sonorous and powerful zither sound rang out like thunder. The zither sound was exciting and powerful, directly striking people's hearts. Linger Gu Feng, Qi, and the others who were originally in a daze and had no fighting spirit felt as if a bucket of ice water had been poured over their heads. They quivered and woke up. The jade bone rhythm in the fifth priest's hand was shocked by the zither sound. He lost his grip and the jade bones knocked together. On the jade bones there was an additional hair-sized crack. Once the crack appeared, the music stopped. Ling and the others then realized that they had almost fallen into the fifth priest's trap. You actually dare to damage my corpse king bone staff. The fifth priest did not expect that the other party's zither skills would be so good as well. She was actually able to wake up people who were listening to corpse witch music. Showing off your slight skill in front of an expert, your corpse witch music is only SOSO. Yun Sheng pressed on the zither strings. The light of a firefly wants to compete with the brilliance of the moon? I will let you all know the true power of the 8 desolate beast god altar. Yun Sheng's words angered the fifth priest. She laughed strangely. As soon as she finished speaking, the fifth priest tore off her clothes. Under the wide priest robe, there was almost no need to describe her beauty. Her skin was as white as snow, her arms were as white as jade, her legs were slender and powerful, and her feet were like jade. The fifth priest, Lin Yun, had a graceful figure. Only a few vital parts of her body were covered with a light gauze. Seeing this situation, Gu Feng and Qi both involuntarily blushed. The two of them did not know whether to look or not. For a moment they actually did not know how to deal with it. Demoness. Seeing this, Dong Huangling angrily glared at Gu Feng. The latter was so scared that he quickly lowered his head and put on a serious look. Hehe, you're embarrassed? What's even more erotic is yet to come. The fifth priestess made a seductive action. Her waist swayed leisurely as she danced. As she danced, the more intense her jade-like movements became, the faster the fifth priestess dance became. However, the scarier scene was yet to come. As the fifth priest danced, the corpses of the bull beasts that were originally lying on the ground and killed by the magical beasts suddenly moved as if they had come to life. Their movements became more and more intense. Crack, crack, crack. The corpses of the bull beast soldiers all stood up. Kill them. The fifth priest glared at the demonic beast. The corpses of the beast soldiers pounced towards Yun Sheng and the others. Chapter 1056. Resurrection from the dead was undoubtedly absurd. These beast soldiers had been devoured by Yun Sheng's centipede ants. Not to mention their flesh, even their intestines had been devoured. But what was happening in front of them? How could the beast soldiers that had been killed earlier all come back to life? Yun Sheng and the rest were horrified. But when they took a closer look, they quickly realized that these bull beast soldiers were just walking corpses. Their eyes were dull and their eyeballs were already turbid. As the Duqian blood seal collapsed, more and more of the evil aura in the blood seal spread. They either surged towards the middle and outer regions of the blood world or scattered towards the sky. The bewitching power of the fifth priest's lich dance became stronger and stronger. Those beast soldiers that had lost their consciousness and only listened to the fifth priest's orders pounced forward like moths to a flame. They were like mad dogs, recklessly attacking the four people and the magical beasts. The centipede ant generals and ant soldiers pounced forward. But these beast soldiers were either left with white bones or did not know pain. They were completely unaffected by the attacks of the soul-eater ants. Warriors of the Night Charm. The Night Charm Queen gathered many Night Charm warriors. The elf tribe's arrows turned into a rain of arrows. The arrows were densely packed and pierced into the bodies of the beast soldiers in rows. They looked like hedgehogs. But the beast soldiers that were shot into hedgehogs only paused for a moment before they continued to charge forward mechanically. These beast soldiers that had died long ago but were controlled by the lich dance were completely unafraid of all kinds of magic attacks and poisonous fog. They were unaffected by force or persuasion. Little Green, abandoned, shouted. Little Green came out with a whoosh. Its petite body quickly grew in size. Its snake tail coiled around 3 or 4 beast soldiers and twisted. With a few cracking sounds, the 3 or 4 beast soldiers that were made of white bones were instantly crushed into powder and fell to the ground. Everyone was overjoyed when they saw this. But who knew that just as the powder fell to the ground, the powder quickly gathered again to become the skeletons of the beast soldiers again. Moreover, every time the beast soldiers died, their battle abilities became sharper and their attacks more ferocious. As time passed, the humans and the beasts began to show signs of fatigue. After all, they were still humans. Even if they had elixirs to replenish their energy, there would come a time when they would run out of energy. Haha, ignorant humans, these corpses are invincible. Soon you will be exhausted. Don't worry if you are killed, I guarantee that I will make you into the most outstanding corpse soldier specimens. The fifth priest's charming eyes were indescribably enchanting. As a corpse sacrifice, the fifth priest's most powerful technique was to control the corpse beast soldiers. She also had a fetish. Whenever she met an enemy whose appearance and strength satisfied her, she would torture them to death and make them into zombie specimens. Just the thought of having a whole new batch of corpse beast soldiers, and such outstanding ones at that, made the fifth priest's blood boil. She let out a complacent laugh which made people's scalps tingle. Become a zombie soldier specimen? What the hell was that? Fear could be seen on Dong Huang Ling'er's face. She didn't want to become a zombie that was neither human nor ghost. But what could they do? These corpse beast soldiers were too terrifying. They were like centipedes. No matter how they were attacked, they would still come back to life. Corpse sacrifice was too terrifying. However, after fighting so many battles, the 4 of them were already exhausted. Even Yun Sheng's beasts were showing signs of fatigue. If they still couldn't find a way to repel the corpse beast soldiers, they might really die here. Yun Sheng frowned. They couldn't go on like this. Gu Feng used the sphere of light to defend first. Helpless, Yun Sheng could only let Gu Feng use the sphere of light to temporarily stop the corpse beast soldiers. Gu Feng chanted, and a ball of light the size of a tent enveloped the 4 of them and the magical beasts, temporarily blocking the corpses of the beasts outside. The sphere of light contained powerful light energy. When the corpse beast soldiers saw it, they were like beasts encountering fire. They were very afraid and retreated to the side. But even so, the corpse beast soldiers were unwilling to completely retreat. They paced back and forth outside the sphere of light and let out strange cries at the people inside. Those cries were like owls in the night, carrying a sense of fear of death. Hehe, I didn't expect that there would be a light magician among you. What a pity, it's just a useless magician who can only defend and not attack. The fifth priest continued to provoke them when he saw that they were caught unprepared. These monsters seemed to be very afraid of light magic. If only I knew a powerful light magic attack. Gu Feng's face was full of regret. For Gu Feng, not knowing how to use light magic had always been his regret. This caused him to be in a very passive situation when facing enemies. The corpse beast soldiers were undead creatures that were derivatives of dark magic. If at this time, Gu Feng had a powerful light magic like Xia Wenshu in the temple, he was confident that he could annihilate these corpse beast soldiers. Although Yun Sheng had a 5-elemental magic soul, she didn't know any light magic. Facing these corpse beast soldiers, she was also helpless. Could it be that they were going to be trapped here alive today? Yun Sheng's eyes flashed as she suddenly thought of something. Gu Feng removed the sphere of light. Time was of the essence, so Yun Sheng didn't explain much. Although the other three didn't know what Yun Sheng wanted to do, they were already used to seeing Yun Sheng as the leader. Gu Feng immediately removed the sphere of light. As soon as the sphere of light was removed, the corpse beast soldiers surrounded them again. The four of them could already smell the stench of corpses in the air. I'd like to see who is more powerful when corpse witch music meets corpse puppet technique. Yun Sheng sat cross-legged and said in a voice that only she could hear. Since she couldn't kill or hit them, she would take the initiative and turn these corpse beast soldiers into her own. Yun Sheng's hand once again plucked the strings of the zither. You don't know what's good for you. You still want to resist it this time. Your zither music is good, but it's only an ancient battle song. It's useful against humans and magical beasts, but it's useless against my corpse beast soldiers. The fifth priest said disdainfully. The corpse beast soldiers were getting closer and closer. The leader of the barbaric bull soldiers leaped forward and pounced on Yun Sheng. At this moment, Yun Sheng's fingers moved and her black eyes turned golden. The sky suddenly darkened. It was as if the sky had been split open by someone, and there was a golden crack in the clouds. In the crack, a closed eye suddenly appeared. The eyes slowly opened. It was a pair of golden eyes. Suddenly, the golden eyes emitted a dazzling golden light. The golden eyes seemed to contain infinite divine power. Under the golden light, the corpse beast soldiers all stopped in their tracks. The fifth priest, who was still dancing, staggered. There was a trace of fear in his eyes. What the hell is that? Chapter 1057. After the golden pupils appeared, even Dong Huang Ling and the others were unable to open their eyes due to the golden light. While everyone was in a daze, they heard a voice. The voice was between a woman's and a man's. It was a bit tempting and also had a bit of power. Eyes of the golden lion, you ignorant undead, submit to me. The golden puppet eyes was comprehended by Yun Sheng after she fused the Di Hong song with the corpse puppet technique. Its power was one level higher than the corpse puppet technique. After the celestial fox, it was the second awakened celestial fox inheritance. Compared to the corpse puppet technique, the golden puppet eyes had a wider range of use. Not only could it be used to control an individual, it could also be used to control a group. These corpse beast soldiers could be used as Yun Sheng's first batch of test subjects. If the other celestial fox people knew about this, they would probably be shocked. Because most of the celestial fox people only awakened the second celestial fox inheritance after they were baptized in the beast god altar. Moreover, there would usually be a gap of more than 10 years between the awakening of the inheritance. However, Yun Sheng only used 3 years. A symbol similar to the golden eyes appeared on the foreheads of nearly 100 corpse beast soldiers at the same time. As soon as King Tong appeared, the fifth priest felt that his control over the corpse ox beast soldiers had been completely severed. The corpse wizard dance's power was not small. However, if the corpse wizard dance was forcefully interrupted by an external force, the power of the backlash was also not small. The bone staff in the fifth priest's hand broke into 2 pieces. No, my corpse king bone. The fifth priest's eyes were like a poisonous snake. Hatred flashed across her face. What she was most proud of was her ability to control corpses. After losing the corpse king bone, she would not be able to control the corpse soldiers in the future. The corpse soldiers were like wildfire in the prairie, wave after wave of them. Facing so many traitorous corpse beast soldiers, the fifth priest knew that she would definitely lose this time. You should have never tasted the feeling of being killed by your own corpse soldiers. Harming others will eventually harm yourself, Yun Sheng said indifferently. She could kill the fifth priest with her own hands, but she disdained to do so. She wanted the fifth priest to suffer the consequences of his own actions. This priestess hasn't lost yet. A hazy red mist suddenly appeared in the air. The figure of the fifth priest suddenly disappeared, and the corpses of the beasts lost their target. They were like ants on a hot pan circling around in circles. Hidden blood mist. Master, this priestess is also a water mage. Be careful. The elf queen's blue eyes flashed. At this moment, a blood shadow appeared in front of Yun Sheng. It was still holding half of the corpse king's bone staff in its hand. It aimed at Yun Sheng's back where her heart was and ruthlessly stabbed down. The king corpse bone staff was incomparably hard, and the broken king corpse bone was like an incomparably sharp dagger. The fifth priest hated Yun Sheng to the bone. She had already used all of her strength to stab Yun Sheng. Faced with such astonishing speed, the beasts around Yun Sheng were defenseless. Die. The fifth priest went crazy, and the king corpse bone staff stabbed into Yun Sheng's back. But at this time Yun Sheng's long hair suddenly condensed into a strand, like an iron wall made of molten iron. It stabbed into the fifth priest's chest. Almost at the same time, a white light exploded from Yun Sheng's body. The white light smashed the fifth priest dozens of meters away. The violent magic was like a heavy hammer, smashing the fifth priest's body into meat paste. The fifth priest's eyes were wide open, and her gaze was fixed on Yun Sheng. That is, the power of the Saraira. You are a celestial fox. Before the fifth priest could finish her words, a bull corpse soldier had already rushed forward and chopped off her head with an axe. The head rolled away but the eyes were still wide open. Until her death, the fifth priest still couldn't believe that she would die in the hands of the corpse soldier that she was most proud of. Until her death, she still couldn't understand why the celestial fox people's celestial fox Saraira would appear on the body of this famous summoner. Huff, huff. The sound of rapid breathing was exceptionally clear in the deathly silence. The fifth priest Lin Yun had died. After going through a life-and-death crisis, the four of them were still in a daze. Gulp. Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Gu Feng and the others still had their eyes wide open, staring at the fifth priest's corpse in disbelief. They still couldn't believe that the fifth priest was really dead. That was close. Dong Huangling could still feel her heart beating rapidly. Just now, when the fifth priest pounced on Yun Sheng, she really thought that Yun Sheng would be killed. Yun Sheng, what should we do with these things? The fifth priest asked, and the corpse soldiers were like a group of dragons without a leader. Keep them, I will have a use for them later. It was the first time that Yun Sheng used the golden puppet eyes, so she couldn't use too much of her magic power in a short period of time. However, in order to prevent the others from worrying, Yun Sheng didn't tell them about her current situation. Although the fifth priest was dead, the blood seal had collapsed, and there would definitely be a large number of people from the 8 desolate tribe who would barge into the boundless land. She could make good use of these corpse soldiers and she believed that they would be of great use. My dear master, this woman has a lot of good things on her, and there is also a spatial magic scroll. Popping Sheep flew forward and searched the corpse of the fifth priest. He took out a lot of good things from the fifth priest's corpse. That spatial magic scroll was the fifth priest's personal collection. She used this scroll to be the first person to barge into the boundless land. Yun Sheng held onto the scroll. With this scroll, she could escort Hu Sheng's ashes back to the celestial fox tribe. Other than the spatial magic scroll, Yun Sheng also found a large number of land deeds and some magical beast soul stones on the fifth priest's corpse. There was a flurry of footsteps. Elder Si Ming and God Wind happened to be leading 2 groups of people from the north and south of the Duqian blood beast world. Elder Si Ming thought that he would see a cruel battle, but he didn't expect that the battle had already ended. When they saw the corpse soldiers that were emitting a dark aura, the people of the temple pulled out their magic scepters as if they were facing a great enemy. Don't worry, I have already subdued these corpse soldiers. I plan to use them to clear the evil aura and blood cloud beasts in the blood beast world. Elder Si Ming had a strange expression when he heard that Yun Sheng could control these dark creatures. Elder Si Ming, I know what you want to say. It's just that the Duqian blood beast world is full of evil aura and blood cloud beasts that have gone berserk. Someone needs to clear them out. Normally, people who come into contact with evil aura will go berserk and lose their rationality. But these corpse soldiers won't. Black or white cats, a cat that can catch mice is a good cat. Yun Sheng said calmly. Elder Si Ming snorted. This time he didn't say anything else. Subconsciously, after witnessing Yun Sheng stopping the first batch of 8 barren tribes' vanguard, Elder Si Ming already had a premonition that this woman in front of him could be the person who would bring about a major turning point in this crisis. Leave all the injured behind. After the rest are treated, follow us into the Duqian blood seal. Yun Sheng adjusted her breath for a moment. She also wanted to know what the hell came out of the celestial fox tomb. Chapter 1058. The wind howled. There was no sun or moon. There was no distinction between day and night. This was the chaos territory. It was a special isolated zone between different continents and different worlds. A black mass of figures was shuttling through the chaos territory. It was a large group of beast soldiers. They were disciplined and flew at an extremely fast speed. It was obvious that they were an elite troop that had undergone strict training. The person in the lead was tall and burly. When he flew in the air, he was like a lone eagle soaring in the night sky. He exuded a domineering aura that seemed to be looking down on the heavens. "Chief, there's bad news from the front. We've lost contact with the 5th priest and the 100 bull beast soldiers that he brought with him." A sentry hurriedly rushed over. The 8 Baron tribe had been preparing for this invasion of the boundless land for many years. Among the 8 Baron tribe, other than the Black Chelan tribe led by He Yao himself, the other tribes had also sent powerful descendants of the 8 Baron tribe to lead the troops. Originally, the beast god altar was led by the 3rd priest and 5th priest, and they had agreed to attack together. However, the 5th priest ignored the obstruction of others and led the vanguard alone to the boundless land using magic scrolls. Who knew that they would lose contact with the 5th priest in just half a day? The 5th priest has the corpse controlling technique. He should be fine, He Yao said nonchalantly. The 8 Baron tribe's invasion was stealthy. The forces of the boundless land should not have made any preparations. "Father, do you really plan to not kill Yi Baiming and bring him back?" He Linlin appeared beside He Yao. 3 years had passed. He Linlin no longer had the youthfulness of a young girl but the charm of an adult woman. After cultivating in seclusion for a few years, she had broken through to the martial god realm as she wished. He Yao had learned from Duguxiu that Yi Baiming was now a golden Chelan. He Yao was very surprised by this news. He was determined to bring Yi Baiming back to the 8 Baron tribe no matter what. The Bakra orcs were originally demonic beasts. Even He Linlin and He Yao, who could already transform into human form, were still Black Chelans. There was a legend in the Black Chelan tribe that a golden Chelan was the strongest Chelan. If the golden Chelan really was a golden Chelan, then it was undoubtedly the strongest Chelan. "As long as he agrees to marry you, I won't kill him. If nothing unexpected happens, he should be the one who can fuse with the Chelan king's relic." An imperceptible trace of worry flashed across He Yao's brows. Several years ago, He Linlin had managed to bring the Black Chelan king's relic back to the Black Chelan clan as she wished. However, in the final fusion process, He Linlin failed. He Yao also tried to let the other young experts of the Black Chelan tribe and even Duguxiu try, but everyone failed. Only a few people in the clan knew about this. After all, He Linlin had once said that when she first entered the Black Chelan royal tomb, the one who had awakened the Black Chelan king's relic was Yi Baiming. In other words, the Black Chelan king relic had already recognized him as its master. According to what He Yao knew, apart from the celestial fox people who failed to find the celestial fox relic, the other 6 clans had all found their own beast king's relic. The chosen descendants of the 8 desolation tribes had also successfully fused with the relic. The strength of the few great descendants had greatly increased. Who would have thought that the Black Chelan tribe, which had always been regarded as the strongest tribe in the 8 desolation tribes, would also be unable to fuse with the relic this time? If this matter were to spread out, they would definitely become a laughing stock. Especially the celestial fox people who Qianqiu, that old fellow, would definitely seize this opportunity to ridicule them. At this time, He Yao happened to know that Yi Baiming's true form was a golden Chelan. Thus, He Yao had no choice but to personally head to the boundless land and bring Yi Baiming back to the tribe. "Father, I heard that that bastard celestial fox mixed blood is also in the Duqian blood world. This time, I plead father to let me kill her personally." He Linlin's strength had improved a lot in the past few years. She recalled how she had been defeated by Yun Sheng previously. This time she had to kill that bastard with her own hands. Only by killing Yun Sheng would Yi Baiming be willing to follow them back to the 8 desolation continents. Near the Duqian blood print, the battle between the 3-tailed phoenix and the 9-headed snakelet was still ongoing. The 9-headed snakelet, which had 2 severed heads, was bleeding profusely from its wounds. It looked like it could not hold on for much longer. "I thought it would be more powerful. A divine beast is only a so-so." Feng Tian was extremely presumptuous. The Emperor Zhao in red was so angry that he almost vomited blood. A divine beast was naturally not that weak. The 9-headed snakelet's strength was greatly reduced mainly because it had been severely injured by the sun and moon shine, when it fought with Jirumo earlier. This allowed the three-tailed phoenix to take advantage of it. Ping. Another heavy blow. The nine-headed snakelet fell from the sky and smashed into the ground. A huge crater appeared on the ground. Haha, so what if it is a divine beast? After meeting me, Feng Tian, only death awaits it. Feng Tian was extremely arrogant. He laughed loudly in the air. Jirumo, who had been watching the battle coldly from the side, also felt it. Weak, it was indeed very weak. Could it be that the nine-headed snakelet only had this much strength? Although Jirumo had never really fought with the Emperor Zhao in red, he knew that the Emperor Zhao in red's strength was definitely not just limited to this. Just as Jirumo and Feng Tian were having their own thoughts, a red and blue light appeared in the crater that the nine-headed snakelet had smashed into the ground. Inhuman brat, the nine-headed snakelet is angry. This is the true power of a divine beast. The Emperor Zhao in red's eyes shone with a strange light. He began to chant. The wind and clouds between heaven and earth suddenly changed. The lead-colored clouds in the sky seemed to have pressed down a lot all of a sudden, making people feel suffocated. The nine-headed snakelet appeared in the sky again. This time, its eyes had turned blood red. It looked at Feng Tian angrily. The remaining 7 heads raised their heads at the same time. They raised their necks and let out a deafening roar at the dark sky. After the roar, the nine-headed snakelet was completely enraged. Ripples of gray magic patterns appeared beside the nine-headed snakelet. Those patterns seemed to have eyes as they spread out continuously. In an instant, a domain that covered an area of nearly 5 miles was formed in the sky. When Feng Tian realized that something was wrong, he was already in the middle of the gray magic patterns. It was already too late for him to escape. At first, Feng Tian did not know the function of these gray magic patterns. However, after a while, Feng Tian felt that something was wrong. Oh no, the arrogant smile on Feng Tian's face seemed to have frozen in an instant. His body suddenly became heavy under the effect of these gray magic patterns. Chapter 1059. His hands and feet seemed to have sunk into a quagmire, and even moving a step was difficult. His spine seemed to have been pressed down by a heavy object, and even stopping was difficult. Feng Tian's originally nimble movements became extremely sluggish. Was this a god's domain? Cold sweat suddenly forced out from Feng Tian's forehead. He suddenly realized that he had made a huge mistake, and that was to never underestimate a divine beast. Although the 9 Neonate was not a high-ranking divine beast, it was a genuine divine beast. As long as it was a divine beast, it would have a god's domain. There were all kinds of domains. There was a frost domain that could freeze thousands of miles, a devour domain that could devour something, and an earth domain that could make the entire domain feel like it was in a sea of lava. The 9 Neonates domain was not considered top-notch among divine beasts. It was only a very ordinary gravity domain. Everyone and all living things that entered the 9 Neonates domain would carry a force of more than 5,000 kilograms. This kind of ordinary domain in the godly realm was enough to do whatever it wanted in the human realm. Previously, the Emperor Zhao in red had relied on the power of this domain to become the leader of the summoners in the boundless land. If Feng Tian had not used a large amount of beast blood and beast meat, just the force of 5,000 kilograms would have been enough to shatter him into pieces with his body as a magician. In the domain, the 7 heads of the 9 Neonates shot out waves of ice and fire magic attacks at the same time. Feng Tian moved slowly. Originally, it was very easy for him to dodge, but at this moment, it was already messy and disorderly. There were several times when he was almost killed by ice blades and fire clusters. In just 15 minutes, Feng Tian's entire body seemed to have crawled out of blood. His skin was already stained with blood. Who? Feng Tian panted anxiously as he stared at the 9 Neonates sinisterly. Behind Feng Tian, the tail of speed among the 3 tails stood up. The originally sluggish figure barely returned to normal, and Feng Tian flashed in front of the 9 Neonate. The 9 Neonate flew into a rage. It suddenly opened its huge mouth and swallowed Feng Tian. Seeing that Feng Tian was swallowed by the 9 Neonate, the Emperor Zhao in red was overjoyed. Jirumo on the other hand frowned. He felt that something was wrong. Jiaoying, well done. Jirumo, you've seen the power of Emperor Zhao, right? Do you still want to fight me? The Emperor Zhao in red called Jiaoying back with an arrogant look on his face. Emperor Zhao, it's too early for you to be happy. He's not dead yet. Jirumo snorted coldly. At that moment, Jiaoying and the Emperor Zhao in red both felt that something was amiss. Jiaoying's body exploded with a loud boom. A crimson shadow rushed out from Jiaoying's body. A few sharp claw shadows tore the Emperor Zhao in red into two halves from head to toe. The blood turned into a snowy mist and filled the air. The Emperor Zhao in red died in Feng Tian's hands just like that. He's quite troublesome to deal with. He actually caused me to lose a foxtail. However, after devouring his body, I should be able to make up for it quite a bit. Feng Tian, who had broken out from Jiao Ying's body, was still holding the Emperor Zhao in red's torn body. The body of a divine beast was extremely tough. Furthermore, with the divine beast territory, it was almost impossible for Feng Tian to kill the Emperor Zhao in red and the divine beast Jiao Ying. Feng Tian was also a cunning person. Therefore he took the risk and entered Jiao Ying's body. Regardless of whether it was a divine beast or a demonic beast, the toughness of the internal body was greatly reduced compared to the external body. As expected, Feng Tian's attack succeeded. He licked the fresh flesh and felt a strong force entering his body. Only 2 foxtails were left behind Feng Tian's body. The celestial fox people were different from the other Bakra orcs. Celestial foxes' foxtails were a symbol of strength. However, generally speaking, celestial fox wouldn't easily show their foxtails to others. Only someone like Feng Tian, who was competitive and liked to be in the limelight, would completely expose his strength in front of his enemies. Speaking of these 3 foxtails, Feng Tian had obtained them after eating a celestial fox in the celestial fox people's tomb. That celestial fox people wasn't an ordinary celestial fox. Before he entered the celestial fox's tomb, he was an elder of the celestial fox people and had 3 tails. After going through countless difficulties and obstacles, he entered the celestial fox's tomb to find the celestial fox Sarira. However, he didn't expect that not only did he not find the celestial fox Sarira, but he also paid with his life. Just now, when Feng Tian was forced to the end of his strength, he suddenly detonated his lightning tail and blasted Jiao Ying into smithereens. The 2 foxtails he left behind were the Wind Tail, Acceleration Tail, and Evil Tail, Massacre Tail. Although he had eliminated Jiao Ying and the Emperor Zhao in red, he had lost at least 1/3 of his strength. Put him down. A cold voice made Feng Tian stop his swallowing. "Tsk, I forgot that there's still one more." Feng Tian had previously focused all his attention on the Emperor Zhao in red and the divine beast Jiao Ying. In comparison, Jirumo, who didn't have a demonic beast and didn't have a strong aura, was almost overlooked by him. Feng Tian turned around and caught sight of the person who spoke. It was actually a young man wearing a mask and had an elegant temperament. "Who are you?" "I don't fight with nameless people." Feng Tian scanned Jirumo critically. "He raised me. Hand over his corpse." Although he didn't have any kinship with the Emperor Zhao in red, Jirumo still couldn't sit back and watch as the Emperor Zhao in red's corpse was devoured by Feng Tian. Jirumo felt that he had a certain degree of responsibility for the Emperor Zhao in red being defeated by Feng Tian. If he hadn't used sun and moon shine together to save Yun Sheng, the Emperor Zhao in red's divine beast Jiao Ying wouldn't have been severely injured, and Feng Tian wouldn't have been able to succeed so easily. "Could it be that you're Penglai of Gojoseon, Jirumo?" Feng Tian's interest was immediately piqued. Penglai of Gojoseon, Jirumo, was also a famous person on the continent. If he could kill the Emperor Zhao in red and Jirumo in succession, Feng Tian would undoubtedly become the top existence among the mages on the continent. Feng Tian was an extremely utilitarian person. When he was in the continent's magic elite camp, he was bent on becoming the first on the magic power list. However, he was thwarted by Yi Baiming and Yun Xing later on. All these years in Celestial Fox's tomb, his competitiveness and desire for revenge had also increased day by day. Especially after he obtained the evil tail, his methods of killing became even more ruthless. "Tsk. Since you're Penglai of Gojoseon, then you must die today." Feng Tian casually threw the Emperor Zhao in red's corpse to the side and rubbed his fists, preparing to fight with Feng Tian. In Feng Tian's opinion, Jirumo's strength was still a far cry from the Emperor Zhao in red's strength. Killing Jirumo was just a piece of cake. Jirumo's amber eyes darkened, and his sharp gaze landed on Feng Tian's 2 foxtails. If he didn't guess wrongly, the key to killing Feng Tian was his remaining 2 foxtails. There was a bug in the previous chapter. He Linlin's level was the martial god. Thank you for your reminder. Chapter 1060. While Jirumo was still deep in thought, Feng Tian had already launched his attack. Penglai of Gojoseon die. Behind Feng Tian the tail of speed stood up. Under the effect of the tail of speed, Feng Tian's speed, which was already very fast, suddenly increased by several times. Like an exploding arrow, he flew towards Jirumo. As he moved forward, the sharp beast claws on his left and right forelimbs were like two sharp knives that were aimed at Jirumo's chest and stabbed fiercely. Penglai of Gojoseon, one of the Wuji 5 Annulus. If Penglai of Gojoseon died in his hands, did that mean that he could also enjoy the reputation of being one of the Wuji 5 Annulus? In the future he must obtain all the things that he, Feng Tian, did not obtain back then. Power, strength, reputation and rights. He even began to imagine the wonderful feeling of the beast claws piercing through his flesh and gouging out Jirumo's heart. However, in the next moment, Feng Tian's expression changed drastically. Not only did he not manage to kill Jirumo as he wished, but he also missed. Jirumo appeared behind him. "You're too slow." Jirumo's voice was still as calm as an ancient well, but there was a flicker in his eyes. He slowly stretched out his right hand, and there was already a small handful of beast fur in his hand. With a shake of his hand, the beast fur flew up like snowflakes. Only then did Feng Tian realize that a strand of hair was missing from the back of his head. When did that happen? Just when had he managed to dodge his attack, and even this seemingly harmless Penglai of Gojoseon was actually so terrifying? Could it be that his strength was even more terrifying than the Emperor Zhao in red, who had been killed earlier? How could it be? How could a mage be stronger than a summoner? In the boundless world, it was generally believed that summoners were stronger than mages. There was no other reason for this. In a situation where both parties were Saint Law emperors of similar strength, a summoner with a summoned beast would obviously be stronger than a magician without a magical beast. Jirumo had already understood this when he was still a child. Back then, when the Emperor Zhao in red forced him to kill the mother beast that was feeding him, a fuse was planted in the young Jirumo's heart. He had told himself that he would not allow something like this to happen a second time. Therefore he had to be strong, very strong. Only then could he protect the people or things that were important to him. He had indeed done it. His astounding talent in magic, which he could pick up immediately, had allowed him to grow rapidly over the years. It was just that he liked to keep a low profile, so he never revealed his true strength in front of others. Today, Feng Tian's provocation was the first time he revealed his strength without holding back. Jirumo die. Feng Tian was furious as he stared at Jirumo. His body was like a bolt of lightning as he charged forward once more. Fast ha! Then he was faster than him. What made Feng Tian angry was that Jirumo had also dodged. Moreover, the movement technique that he used to dodge was actually the movement technique that Feng Tian used to attack him. Moreover, compared to Feng Tian, he used it more skillfully. How can this be? I actually can't catch up. Feng Tian couldn't figure out why he couldn't catch up to Jirumo's speed. He began to become irritable and his attacks became fiercer and fiercer. But every time Feng Tian couldn't succeed. He couldn't even touch the corner of Jirumo's clothes. Feng Tian's situation was 1,000 times worse than when he faced the divine beast earlier. Are you done? Then try my counterattack. Under Jirumo's mask, there was an unexpected smile on his face. What's going on? Who is that person? When Yun Sheng and the others arrived, Penglai of Gojoseon and Jirumo were forcing Feng Tian to retreat. Feng Tian. That person is Feng Tian. Gufeng recognized Feng Tian. Ever since the Duqian bloodstain crisis, Feng Tian's whereabouts were unknown. Some of the people in the mainland's magic elite camp mistakenly thought that Feng Tian had died, and some of them thought that Feng Tian had been kidnapped by the Bakra orcs. How could he suddenly appear near the Duqian bloodstain? Moreover, it had only been 3 years. How did he become like this? The two foxtails behind Feng Tian looked particularly eye-catching. Senior brother? Chang Si-ming cried out sorrowfully. Yun Xing Donghuang and the others only just realized that the Emperor Zhao in red was actually dead. When they saw the red-clothed Summoner King's miserable death, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. It looked like he was split into two by a heavy weapon like a heavy axe. The Emperor Zhao in red didn't even have a complete corpse when he died. Only Yun Xing was able to see that the Emperor Zhao in red wasn't killed by a sharp weapon. He was torn into two by the claws of a demonic beast. Feng Tian's hands were like the claws of a demonic beast. Could it be that the Emperor Zhao in red was killed by Feng Tian? Feng Tian could even kill the Emperor Zhao in red, who possessed a divine beast. Could it be that his strength had already reached such a level? Thinking back to the Celestial Fox's relic in her body, it seemed that the monster that came out from the Celestial Fox's tomb was Feng Tian. If she were to meet Feng Tian head-on, she didn't know what her chances of winning would be. Tsk, the Emperor Zhao in red really died at the wrong time. Once he died, Yunxing wouldn't be able to find a way to save her mother, Hu Jiuxing, from her amnesia. Yunxing, it's so strange. Penglai of Gojoseon. Why is Xia Si Ming using the magic of our continent's magic elite camp? Dong Huanglinger looked at Ji Rumo, who was familiar with the various magic of the continent's magic elite camp, and was puzzled. Yunxing took a few glances and was also slightly surprised. Although they were fighting, why did she have a feeling that Penglai of Gojoseon? Xia Si Ming was clearly toying with Feng Tian? Compared to Dong Huanglinger, Yunxing's understanding and deciphering of magic was much higher. The few magic that Xia Si Ming used to deal with Feng Tian were the unique magic that Feng Tian was most proud of. The magic of the continent's magic elite camp was somewhat different from the magic of the temple. As a former Star Beacon student, many of Feng Tian's magic were unique. This feeling was very similar to displaying one's slight skill in front of an expert. However, when Xia Si Ming used it, it was much more ingenious than Feng Tian's. This was undoubtedly an insult to the proud and arrogant Feng Tian. As Yunxing looked at the two fighting, she thought to herself, Xia Si Ming, who looked like a modest and gentle gentleman, also has such a wicked hobby. It's like a cat toying with a mouse. After Yunxing found out that Ji Rumo was Xia Wenshu, her impression of Penglai of Gojoseon also changed. However, this was the first time she saw Xia Wenshu like this. Bastard. Ji Rumo, you're insulting me. If Yunxing could discover all kinds of tricks, how could Feng Tian not? Rumo, is this person the one who killed Emperor Zhao? After witnessing the Emperor Zhao in Red's death, Elder Si Ming was already filled with righteous indignation. He couldn't wait to kill Feng Tian with his own hands. Feng Tian also noticed that there were a few more people present. His gaze suddenly stopped on Yunxing. It's you? Yunxing. Feng Tian revealed an ecstatic expression. Chapter 1061. The reason why Feng Tian was ecstatic was because he thought that since Yunxing was here, Yi Baiming must be nearby. Feng Tian, I remember that we don't have much of a relationship. You don't have to speak as if we're very familiar with each other. Yunxing frowned. Yunxing didn't like Feng Tian when they were in the mainland's magic elite camp. Feng Tian boasted that he was #1 on the rookie potential list and had always been insufferably arrogant. However, after disappearing for 3 years and reappearing in front of the world, Yunxing felt that Feng Tian was even worse than before. His entire body was exuding a disgusting aura. When Yunxing saw him, she felt a chill seeping out of her bones. He wasn't a celestial fox, so why did he have the tail of a celestial fox? Things were a little strange. Looking at his body, he seemed to have undergone some mutation. However, Feng Tian completely ignored this. The way he looked at Yunxing was as if he was looking at glowing gold. Where is Yi Baiming? Feng Tian even ignored Penglai of Gojoseon. His eyes flashed with a strange thirst. If Yunxing didn't know that her Yi Baiming was a 100% straight man, she would have thought that Yi Baiming and Feng Tian were having an affair just by looking at Feng Tian's gaze. It was fine if he didn't mention Yi Baiming, but the moment he mentioned Yi Baiming, Yunxing recalled the roar of that stinky fox Yi Baiming earlier. Women shouldn't interfere in men's matters, right? Then she would ignore him and let him fend for himself. She didn't know how the fight between Yi Baiming and Duguxiu ended. Yunxing snorted in her heart. Why should she care so much? Those two idiots who only knew how to fight. How would I know where he is? Yunxing snapped. Feng Tian had been sealed in Celestial Fox's tomb for 3 years. He didn't know anything that happened in the outside world. It doesn't matter if you don't know. As long as I catch you, Yi Baiming will definitely come looking for me. Feng Tian chuckled. He arched his body, leaped into the air and grabbed Yunxing's neck without warning. Yunxing was already prepared. Her figure swayed strangely, and she actually slid a few meters away trying to dodge the claw attack. Feng Tian didn't expect that as a mage Yunxing would be so sharp. However, Feng Tian's reaction wasn't slow either. He watched as Yunxing dodged and the 2 fox tails behind him strangely grew longer. From the original tens of centimeters, they suddenly became tens of meters long. Although the fox tails had grown a lot longer, they didn't seem clumsy at all. They were like 2 arms that suddenly grew out of Feng Tian, wrapping around Yunxing's neck and waist respectively. The strings of Yunxing's 1,000-year-old ice harp were made from Hu Jiuxing's hair. Celestial Fox's hair was also an excellent material for refining weapons. The higher the cultivation level of a celestial fox, the tougher the hair would be. Feng Tian's 2 fox tails were from a 3-tailed celestial fox. If he used force to whip them, they would be able to break gold and crush stones. The 2 fox tails were like 2 spiritual snakes baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They were about to attack. He was really showing off in front of Guan Yu. A celestial fox that mutated by eating celestial fox's flesh actually used his fox tails in front of her, a genuine celestial fox. You're courting death. In a fit of anger, Yunxing suddenly opened her eyes. Her pitch-black eyes were like burning angry suns that pierced into Feng Tian's eyes. Feng Tian's eyeballs hurt violently as if they were burned by fire. His vision turned black, and he reflexively used his forelimbs to cover his eyes. At this moment, Feng Tian's movement technique was also affected, and he obviously slowed down. Just as Feng Tian blocked her eyes, Yunxing's long black hair fluttered in the wind. Celestial Fox Coil, tempered, Yunxing shouted, and the first Celestial Fox inheritance was activated. Her long hair, which was originally as soft as black silk, was injected with the power of the Jade Marrow technique. Her hair suddenly straightened, and like countless steel needles, they flew toward Feng Tian. Although Feng Tian, who was half human and half beast, could not see clearly, his hearing was not affected. When he heard the unusual sound of the wind, Feng Tian knew that something was wrong. He and Yunxing were originally from the same sect. He knew that although this woman looked harmless, she was actually cunning and was not inferior to Yi Baiming. He thought that Yunxing would use a hidden weapon to attack him. His body sank suddenly as if it weighed 1,000 kilograms. Feng Tian's feet forcefully created a hole in the ground that was enough to accommodate half of a person's body. He lowered his body and barely dodged the Celestial Fox's attack. The Celestial Fox's coil brushed past Feng Tian's scalp. It was like an extremely fierce flying knife. Feng Tian only felt that his head was lighter, and half of his hair had been cut off by the Celestial Fox's coil. Come back. Yunxing's eyes moved slightly. The Celestial Fox's coil seemed to have eyes as it turned back. It was as if he had been pierced by thousands of needles, and he felt a heart-wrenching pain. Feng Tian staggered and covered his shoulder in a sorry state. There were many wounds on his left shoulder. Blood kept flowing out from the gaps between his beast claws. If you want to use me to threaten Yi Baiming, you should consider your own weight first. With just this little ability, you're not even worthy of carrying my shoes. The corners of Yunxing's mouth curled up as she wiped the blood at the end of her hair. You're a celestial fox? Feng Tian felt the origin power of his race from Yunxing's body. However, compared to him, the power of the celestial fox in Yunxing's body was purer. Therefore, the power of the celestial fox inheritance she released was also more astonishing. So what if I am? Yunxing didn't seem to like the celestial fox bloodline in her body. It was also this bloodline that caused her and Yi Baiming to go through so many twists and turns. However, since it was the truth, she wouldn't hide it or deny it. Yunxing's body indeed had half of the celestial fox bloodline in it. Haha, even the heavens want to help me. You actually have the celestial fox bloodline that I've been dreaming of. I want your body. Feng Tian's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Yunxing greedily. That frightening and almost paranoid appearance caused Dong Huanglinger to involuntarily shiver. Feng Tian was a human. He forcefully swallowed the body of the 3-tailed celestial fox, which resulted in his current appearance that was neither a human nor a fox. Different from the attitude of ordinary humans towards Bakra orcs, not only did Feng Tian not hate the bloodline of the celestial fox, but he also enjoyed the benefits that the bloodline of the Bakra orcs brought to him. A portion of the celestial fox bloodline allowed his understanding of magic and the strength of his body to greatly increase. Bakra orcs also had a longer lifespan than humans. Feng Tian wanted to become a Bakra orcs, but he couldn't truly become a celestial fox. He found a celestial fox secret record on the body of the 3-tailed celestial fox. It was written that if a human wanted to become a celestial fox, they only needed to swallow the heart of a living celestial fox, then head to the 8 wilderness beast god altar to receive baptism. After that, they would be able to become a true celestial fox. It was just that Feng Tian was unable to find a celestial fox. He didn't expect that Yunxing was a celestial fox. It was truly effortless. Chapter 1062. Your heart, I want it. Why did Feng Tian's words sound so weird? Was this a confession of love, a provocation, or a declaration of war? At first glance, everyone thought that Feng Tian was confessing his love to Yunxing. Feng Tian wanted Yunxing's heart because he wanted to become the real celestial fox. Only he knew about this matter. It was inevitable that others would misunderstand. Ba ba ba. You're a dead beast that hasn't even grown hair yet. Little master is Yi Baiming in the past, present, and future. As for other people, not only can they not touch her, they can't even think about it. Ba Sheep was so agitated that it jumped in front of Yun Sheng with a whoosh, trying its best to stop Feng Tian from coveting its master. These words were taught several times by the gold coin. Only then did Ba Sheep remember them. Ba Sheep thought in its heart. Since it was so attentive, it should at least get another king-tier soul stone for the Qilin brat. Yun Sheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Peng Lai of Gojoseon and Abandon, who were at the side, felt sour in their hearts when they heard this. Yun Sheng's demonic beast was very picky, but it was very protective of Yi Baiming. It must have been taught by Yun Sheng. Kiss Sheep's words instantly eased the situation that was on the verge of eruption. Dong Huangling couldn't help but laugh out loud. Feng Tian don't have any ideas about Yun Sheng. She's not easy to bully. Dong Huanglinger's words had a hidden meaning. Feng Tian might not know, but Dong Huanglinger knew very well that Peng Lai of Gojoseon, Jirumo, and Abandon who had a crush on Yun Sheng. Even if Yi Baiming wasn't here, Feng Tian would still have a hard time if the two of them joined forces. Feng Tian belatedly realized that something was wrong. Oh no, did these people think that he liked that woman Yun Sheng? Feng Tian was most interested in cultivation. He had never looked at women in the eye before, not to mention that the other party was Yun Sheng, a woman who had made him suffer several times. He admitted that Yun Sheng's appearance was not bad, but this woman's temperament was not something that everyone could tolerate. Beneath the jade mask, Peng Lai of Gojoseon's eyes flashed with killing intent. Abandonment gripped his magic scepter tightly. Feng Tian felt a chill. Before he could turn around, a golden light shot out from behind him. That golden light came suddenly, and Feng Tian was not on guard yet. Suddenly he felt his foxtail being pulled by something. In the next second, Feng Tian's body suddenly flew into the air like a kite with a string. Then a beautiful arc appeared. Bang! There was a series of earth-shaking collisions. Behind Feng Tian, the speed tail that represented speed and reaction was actually uprooted. His body was thrown to the ground fiercely, and a big hole was smashed in the ground. Cough, cough. Feng Tian crawled out of the big hole with difficulty. His appearance could no longer be described as simply ugly. Dust curled up, and what he saw was a golden demonic beast. It was a demonic beast that looked like a golden eagle. Its entire body was covered with fine golden scales, and its golden eyes were burning with the flames of battle. This demonic beast, just standing there, already gave people an invisible pressure. My speed tail bastard, give me back my fox tail. Feng Tian flew into a rage out of humiliation. Feng Tian had already lost a lightning tail, and now he had lost another speed tail. He had lost 2 of his 3 tails, and his strength had been greatly reduced. Brr! Gold Coin roared at Yun Sheng. It turned out that after he and Yun Sheng parted on bad terms in Peng Lai, Gold Coin had found the Blood Duqian realm by relying on the secret signals he had left behind along the way. As soon as he entered the Blood realm, he found that there was something wrong with the Blood realm. The Duqian blood seal had collapsed, and countless evil auras were escaping in all directions. Yi Baiming knew that something was wrong, and he rushed all the way to the Duqian blood seal. When he arrived, he happened to hear Feng Tian insulting Yun Sheng. He didn't even dislike his woman. This inhumane thing actually dared to pick on Yun Sheng. Yi Baiming also recognized the golden Qilin. This person was Feng Tian. Feng Tian was different from before. His strength had improved a lot. But so what if he had improved? He could defeat Feng Tian in the past, and today he could still defeat him in every second. Ba ba ba, are you scared now? My dear master is a married man. How dare you covet her heart? Bite him. Rip off his last tail, Baby Sheep said excitedly. Only then did Feng Tian understand that the beast kept attacking him because it misunderstood that he liked Yun Sheng. Feng Tian had never encountered such a troublesome magical beast. This guy was so cunning, as if he had stolen his wife. Feng Tian naturally didn't know that Gold Coin was Yi Baiming. He thought that Gold Coin was just a magical beast sent by Yi Baiming to protect Yun Sheng. What covet? I want to eat her heart. Who would like such a sinister and cunning woman? Only a fool would like such a woman. Before Feng Tian could finish speaking, Gold Coin suddenly jumped forward and a claw wind fell. Feng Tian could feel that the wind created by Dollar's claws was almost touching his skin as it slid past him. It would have been better if Feng Tian didn't say anything. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt that there were 2 more eyes staring at him. Peng Lai of Gojoseon, Ji Rumo, Abandon, and Gold Coin all stared at Feng Tian. This guy didn't know that he had offended all three of them with his words. The two men and the beast scolded in their hearts at the same time. You're the fool, your whole family are fools. Daring to belittle Yun Sheng was equivalent to belittling them. Feng Tian, your competition with this king isn't over yet. Where do you think you're going? Peng Lai of Gojoseon, who had planned to watch from the sidelines, raised the magic scepter in his hand. Crackle, 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 several light magic were unceremoniously parried. Feng Tian, I wanted to learn a few moves from you when we were in the magic elite camp. Let's do it now. A green shadow flashed and Abandon also joined the battle. For a moment, shadows intertwined. A golden shadow that was Gold Coin. A green shadow that was Abandon. A purple shadow that was Peng Lai of Gojoseon. And the one who was surrounded in the middle and treated as a human sandbag was Feng Tian. Goofing, aren't they being too much of a bully? Dong Huanglinger actually sympathized with Feng Tian a little. A little. But who asked that bastard to say bad things about Yun Sheng? Goofing snorted. Then, in the future, if someone also says that about me, will you fight for me like them? Dong Huanglinger waited for Goofing's answer with anticipation. I want to, but you know my strength. Goofing's face turned red. Dong Huanglinger snorted and turned her head away, unwilling to pay attention to Goofing. Bang! Feng Tian was hit by Gold Coin's claw again. When he dodged, he accidentally inhaled Abandon's poisonous fog again. Peng Lai of Gojoseon cast another light magic. He was hit by 3 moves in a row and he couldn't hold on any longer. Chapter 1063. Gold Coin, Peng Lai of Gojoseon, and Abandon, any one of these 3 would be extremely unlucky. Feng Tian was entangled by these 3 people, and his end could be imagined. Those who dared to speak ill of Yun Sheng could only be described as courting death. Bobo, my dear master, you should be happy. The 3 of them are fighting for you. Bobo Sheep saw that Feng Tian was beaten and was very happy. Bobo, tell me, what benefits did you get from Night Fox? Yun Sheng felt that something was wrong. How did Yi Baiming find her whereabouts so quickly? Coupled with the fact that the kissing sheep had sneakily disappeared from time to time on the way here, Yun Sheng knew that her natal magical beast had been bribed by someone. Yun Sheng pressed Bobo Sheep with one hand, and the other hand pulled Bobo Sheep's wings. Bobo, my dear master, please don't kill me, please forgive me. Bobo Sheep howled but was frightened by Yun Sheng's gaze. Bobo Sheep was so scared that its howl was stuck in its throat. Bobo, to be honest, Bobo received a little benefit from the Qilin boy. It's just a few king-level beast soul stones. Bobo didn't do it on purpose. Bobo just wanted to quickly take up the post and recover my strength as a world god so that I can help master. Bobo painfully handed over a few soul stones. It had a sullen look and that pair of wings drooped listlessly. It had a miserable look that had nothing to live for. Yun Sheng's hand paused in midair and her heart was moved. Bobo Sheep wanted to help her. Yun Sheng had many magical beasts and all of them had decent strength. Although Bobo Sheep was her natal beast, its strength seemed to be the weakest. Bobo was arrogant on the surface, but it was very dissatisfied in its heart. It thought that as long as it could find enough king-level beast soul stones, it could become a real-world god one day. Silly Bobo, if you want anything in the future, just ask me. Even if your master is not strong enough now, one day I won't be worse than Night Fox. Yun Sheng let go of Bobo's wings and rubbed its soft fur. It felt good to the touch. Bobo loves master the most. However, that Qilin brat already said that you shouldn't bicker with him. He said that all of his things belong to you, master. Bobo, you can take anyone you want. Bobo's eyes lit up, and he put on a fawning expression. Yun Sheng's face was burning. She glanced at Dollar, who was still besieging Feng Tian with Ji Rumo and Abandon. He had no idea that he had been betrayed by a heartless universe god. Night Fox actually said that. Cough cough cough. I have to clarify something first. Night Fox's things are mine. Your master's things are still his. Regardless of whether you are a woman or a mother beast, you must remember that property is independent. Only then can there be happiness. Yun Sheng brainwashed Bobo. When a certain world god heard this, it was as if he had been enlightened. Many years later, when Bobo became a world god in the mortal world, the first thing he did was to plunder all of a certain world god's property. The fact that the master was not right and the beast was not right started from Yun Sheng and Bobo, this pair of heartless summoner and beast. On Yunsheng's side she was chatting with Bo Bo and relaxed. On the other side Feng Tian was already in danger. You're going too far. Do you think that I, Feng Tian, am easy to bully? I'll let you know how powerful my evil tail is. Feng Tian was forced to retreat. His throat rolled and the last fox tail behind him emitted a dark light. Feng Tian let out a long roar, and a black light pillar suddenly burst out from his mouth. Wherever the light pillar went, the evil aura in the blood world seemed to be attracted and rushed into the light pillar. He inhaled like a whale and swallowed all the evil aura into his stomach. As the evil aura increased, Feng Tian's body also changed. Rip, the sound of cloth tearing could be heard. Feng Tian's slender magician figure suddenly changed. The muscles on his limbs swelled up as if they were inflated. His muscles tore his clothes, and his entire person actually grew several times taller. In an instant he became a mutated celestial fox that was 10 meters tall. With every step he took, the ground would shake violently. His fists also became like 2 stone millstones. He shook towards the sky, and the powerful force of his fist actually shattered the air. After transforming, the 3-tailed celestial fox was still somewhat difficult to deal with. Jirumo just arrived. Murderous fist. Feng Tian was actually not afraid at all as he punched out. The murderous fist was a celestial fox inheritance that Feng Tian comprehended after he mutated. It was between a combat skill and magic. As it was not a celestial fox, the murderous fist also had a huge flaw. The advantage of the murderous fist was that its power was astonishing. The disadvantage was that once he absorbed too much evil aura, Feng Tian would lose control. If he used it too many times, Feng Tian would completely become a killing machine. Feng Tian, who was well aware of this, originally only wanted to use the murderous fist when he fought with Yi Baiming. Who knew that before he met Yi Baiming, he would encounter this beast and 2 people first. He had no choice but to use the murderous fist. What made Feng Tian even more depressed was that he didn't even know why he was being beaten up. These people completely disregarded the rules and attacked him together. Feng Tian couldn't figure out how he had offended them. As soon as the fist wind arrived, Jirumo paused slightly. A light shield that was as tall as a person appeared in front of him. Clang, it was like 2 rocks colliding. An obvious dent appeared in the light shield. However, it still managed to block Feng Tian's punch. As soon as the dent appeared, the light elements quickly repaired it. How could this be? Feng Tian didn't expect that even his most powerful killing move would fail. However, Feng Tian didn't even have time to hesitate. Magic poison rope. Abandoned also saw the opportunity and released a magic poison fog. The poison fog suddenly turned into a rope and trapped Feng Tian. Jianghu bent his forelimbs and divine light flashed on his right forelimb. On his right forelimb, the divine pattern of the halberd of the divine battle god flashed, and in an instant, it broke through the phoenix fist. Like a spiral, it suddenly broke through Feng Tian's chest. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. A soul stone broke out of his body. Before anyone could react, a pink shadow flew over with a whoosh. Bobo, Chilin boy, Bobo wants this soul stone. Bobo was quick to react and snatched the 3-tailed celestial fox's soul stone. The reason why Feng Tian could become a mutated celestial fox was because of the celestial fox soul stone in his body. As soon as the soul stone left his body, Feng Tian became that weak mage again. His tyrannical body shrank and quickly withered. You. Feng Tian stared at Jianghu, who had already fallen to the ground. His eyes were bloodshot. He saw a sense of familiarity in Jianghu's eyes. Similarly arrogant, similarly disdainful, this golden demonic beast was actually. Chapter 1064. Could this demonic beast in front of him be Yi Baiming? However, before Feng Tian could voice out his suspicions, his already damaged body fell to the ground, forever losing the chance to compete with Yi Baiming. Phew, he's finally dead. It's just a 3-tailed celestial fox and it's already so powerful. Then wouldn't a real celestial fox be invincible? Dong Huanglinger heaved a sigh of relief, but then she realized that she had misspoken. Elder Si Ming's expression instantly became serious, and his gaze towards Yun Sheng also became filled with hostility. Feng Tian killed the Emperor Zhao in red. In Elder Si Ming's eyes, Yun Sheng, who was also a celestial fox, was also an accomplice. After Gold Coin killed Feng Tian, he walked to Yun Sheng's side with a fawning expression. However, Yun Sheng snorted and pulled back the sheep, leaving Gold Coin behind. Yi Baiming, the golden Qilin, was suspicious. Why did he feel that there was something wrong with the little wild cat? Could it be that she found out something? Feng Tian had completely destroyed the Duqian blood seal. After a round of inspection, Elder Si Ming concluded that the Duqian blood seal couldn't be repaired. This made Ji Rumo heave a sigh of relief. Elder Si Ming finally wouldn't yell at Yunxing anymore. Since the Duqian blood seal couldn't be repaired, the only way left was to redraw the magic array. Although the fifth priest was dead, the sky of the Duqian blood seal was already corroded by a large amount of evil aura. It was like a sieve with countless holes. The space barrier between the boundless continent and the Eight Desolates continent was unprecedentedly weak. The army of the Bakra orcs could launch the next round of attack at any time. Although I don't have a way to rebuild the Duqian blood seal, I believe that as long as Rumo and I have some time, we will definitely be able to find a way. Elder Si Ming was still very confident about this. He and Ji Rumo had a lot of magic books on hand, plus he had already informed the continent's magic elite camp. He believed that if they searched the ancient books together, they would definitely be able to find some clues. Time was of the essence. The more time passed, the more likely the next wave of Bakra orcs would arrive. No one knew who would come after the fifth priest. Therefore, he had to find a new magic array to replace the Duqian blood seal as soon as possible. If a new spell was discovered, it would be impossible to solve it in a short period of time. After some discussion, they decided to set up camp near the Duqian relay station. Although Feng Tian's death was his own fault, he was still a student of the mainland's magic elite camp. Sister Lan collected his body and cremated it. After a few days she would send his ashes back to his teacher. Feng Tian was an orphan, and the only place that could bury him was the continent's magic elite camp. After the collapse of the Duqian blood seal, the people from the various major powers arrived one after another. With so many people, other than the injured who were placed in the better guest rooms of the relay station, the majority of the people could only sleep in the empty space outside the relay station. Yunxing, Linger, and Sister Lan stayed in a certain tent. Because she was still in a cold war with Yi Baiming, Yunxing unceremoniously kicked Yi Baiming out of the tent. The pitiful dollar could only stay outside the tent and roar in dissatisfaction from time to time. Because they were worried that the blood cloud beast would appear at night, they arranged for people to take turns to be on duty at night. In the middle of the night, Yunxing woke up and discovered that Linger was gone. Yunxing teleported and left the tent. Outside the tent, Dollar was no longer there. Yunxing was slightly disappointed. She looked around outside and discovered that Donghuang Ling was sitting beside an illumination magic array. She seemed to be in a daze. Ling what's wrong? Yunxing walked toward Linger. Under the illumination magic array, Donghuang Linger's eyebrows were knitted together. Clearly visible tear stains could be seen at the corner of her eyes. Nothing. Hearing Yunxing's voice, Donghuang Ling hurriedly covered up her tears. Is it because of Gufeng? Yunxing also noticed that Donghuang Ling seemed to have fallen out with Gufeng. The two of them were quarrelsome lovers. However, every time Donghuang Ling had a conflict with Gufeng, she never shed a tear. This time it was because of Donghuang Ling. I've thought it through. Gufeng and I can't be together anymore. Donghuang Ling had been thinking about this problem for an entire night already. It was true that she liked Gufeng very much. However, Gufeng's cowardly character had disappointed her time and time again. Especially today, Donghuang Ling had completely given up on Yi Shiwen. Gufeng is a light magician. Unlike other magicians, he can't go into battle and kill the enemy. However, he can save people. You also know that this is a different way of fighting. Ling, you can't be blinded by hatred. I know that you want to find a man who can help you take revenge. However, you can't give up on Gufeng, who is truly good to you, just because of hatred. Yunxing persuaded Ling. Yunxing, you are not me. You won't be able to understand how much responsibility I have on my shoulders. I am going to inherit the throne of the Eastern Empress. My brother has already become like that. He is no longer able to inherit the throne. Mother hopes that I can find a husband who can help me in both literature and martial arts. Gufeng is not suitable for me. Donghuang Ling had already made up her mind. No matter how Yunxing tried to persuade her, it was useless. Yunxing still wanted to say something. However, Donghuang Ling wasn't willing to say anything anymore. Yunxing, I have already made up my mind. It's my turn to keep watch. You should also rest early. Donghuang Ling stood up and left without turning her head back. Yunxing didn't leave immediately. She sighed and said, Gufeng, come out. From the moment Yunxing found Donghuang Ling she had already noticed Gufeng, who was hiding in a corner not too far away. This brat most probably found Dong Huang Ling before her. It's just that he saw that Ling was still angry and didn't dare to show himself. Gu Feng should have heard every single word that Dong Huang Ling said to him. This brat, right now his eyes are red and his nose is red. That look of his is both pitiful and infuriating. Yun Sheng Ling really doesn't want me anymore? After night fell, Gufeng didn't sleep well. He also knew that his answer in the day had made Ling sad. However, he didn't expect that Ling would actually want to separate from him. Gufeng, you have already heard Ling words clearly. Don't be too sad. Ling is just angry for a moment. Perhaps she will be fine after a while. Yun Xing didn't know what to say. She wasn't good at dealing with emotional matters. Otherwise, the matter between her and Night Fox wouldn't have caused such a huge mess. Gufeng and Ling were both her good friends. She didn't want to see either of them get hurt. However, if Ling really became the Empress of the Eastern Emperor, Gufeng would indeed not be a suitable candidate for her husband. Yun Xing, thank you for comforting me. I know what to do now. Gufeng smiled bitterly. He understood that Yun Sheng was comforting him. Ling was going to find a new husband. She wouldn't turn back anymore. Empress Dowager Situ didn't like him. This was something that Gufeng already knew long ago. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being useless. Gufeng hung his head dejectedly and walked away step by step. Yun Sheng looked at Gufeng's back view and then looked up at the Duqian blood realm that was filled with hostility. There was a heavy feeling in her heart that was getting stronger and stronger. It was as if something was about to happen. Thank you for your tips and monthly votes. Chapter 1065. After separating from Yun Sheng, Gufeng didn't feel sleepy at all. He had no choice but to walk around the vicinity of the magic tent. The cold night wind made his thoughts even more chaotic. He only felt that his legs were filled with lead, and every step he took was incomparably difficult. Dong Huang Ling words kept echoing in his mind. He's not suitable for me. Not suitable. Not suitable. Because he's a trash magician who doesn't know anything. Ling can't accept him. The bad things that happened to Gufeng in the past, from being bullied when he was young to going to the temple to going to the magic academy. Gufeng buried the worst memories in the depths of his memory, reminded him again and again like mosquitoes that couldn't be chased away. What? Because he's a light magician, unable to protect Ling unable to protect his friends. Every time when Ling and his friends were in danger, the only thing he could do was to hide in the back. Gufeng didn't hate Ling He understood Ling Dong Huang Ling loved him. This was something that Gufeng firmly believed. However, as the future Empress of the Eastern Continent, love wasn't everything. Since Ling has already made her choice, I should also make my own choice. Gufeng took a deep breath. His footsteps stopped in front of a tent. The tent was still lit. Gufeng stopped outside the tent. You're here. That was the voice of Ji Rumo of Penglai of Gojoseon. No matter when, Ji Rumo's voice was always like this. It was 30% polite and 70% respectful. Even if it was someone who was meeting him for the first time, he wouldn't receive any invitation from the owner of this voice. That voice seemed to be waiting for a friend who came from afar. Gufeng was no exception. After hearing that voice, he walked into the tent. Ji Rumo was Xiao Wenshu. Inside the tent, the light from the illuminating magic array was like a firefly, making Xiao Wenshu's eyes shine like stars. Gufeng was momentarily dazed by Xiao Wenshu's jade-like face. Although he had long heard of Xiao Wenshu's great name, this was the first time Gufeng had personally met Xiao Wenshu. As one of the rare light mages on the continent, the treatment Xiao Wenshu and Gu Feng received was as different as heaven and earth. Gufeng came from a poor family, but Xiao Wenshu came from the Dharma Temple. Gufeng's aptitude was mediocre, and the light magic he knew could only be used for healing or defense. However, Xiao Wenshu was adept at both offense and defense, and his medical skills were unparalleled in the world. In front of Xiao Wenshu, Gufeng felt like he couldn't raise his head. However, Gufeng still mustered up his courage and came to find Xiao Wenshu. Xia Simon, you should have noticed that I am a light mage. I want to learn powerful light magic from you. As long as he was as powerful as Xiao Wenshu, Empress Dowager Situ wouldn't dislike him, and Ling wouldn't be separated from him. What you need isn't powerful light magic. What you need is a heart of self-respect. Xiao Wenshu's words made Gu Feng stare blankly. Xia Siming, are you saying that you will teach me offensive light magic? Gu Feng had already placed his last shred of hope on Xiao Wenshu. Everyone's magic talent is predestined. If it's fated, it will be there. If it's not fated, don't force it. Gufeng, I can give you a heart of self-respect and let you win everyone's respect. However, in return you will have to pay the price. Xiao Wenshu looked at Gufeng with an indescribable meaning in his eyes. Win everyone's respect? Gufeng had the urge to laugh out loud. Apart from healing magic, what else did he, Gufeng, have that was worthy of other people's respect? However, when he thought of Donghuang Linger's disappointed expression, Gufeng felt a surge of hot blood in his body. Xia Siming, I beg of you. Let me win everyone's respect. Gufeng was practically begging Xiao Wenshu. Use your life in exchange. One life in exchange for the lives of the people of the boundless world. Xiao Wenshu looked straight at Gufeng. Life. Gufeng shivered. Xiao Wenshu, who was standing in front of him, was still so modest and polite. However, his gaze was so cold that Gufeng couldn't help but shiver. Xia Siming, don't joke around. I'm afraid of death the most. I can't take this kind of joke. Gufeng didn't know what Xia Siming's intentions were. I'm not joking. Gufeng, do you still remember what Elder Siming said during the day when everyone was discussing the matter of the Dutian blood seal? We are all looking for a way to create a new magic array. In order to find a way to replace the Dutian blood seal, Xiao Wenshu spent the entire night searching ancient magic books. However, after searching through all the ancient books, he didn't find any magic array that could be comparable to the Dutian blood seal. It was only when he was looking at the handwritten letter of one of the experts of the 8 Desolaces, the first Dharma god of the Dharma temple, who was also the owner of the Dharma bracelet, that he saw a very inconspicuous sentence. Blood seal collapse, radiance descends. The weakest is the strongest. The radiance descends here refers to light magicians. In the entire camp, only you and I can be considered as true light magicians. The weakest is the strongest and it's referring to you. Xiao Wenshu's words left Gufeng speechless. The first Dharma god of the Dharma temple was no stranger to any magician on the mainland. The first Dharma god not only created the Dharma bracelet, one of the artifacts of the 8 Desolaces, but he also had another identity as the first arbiter of the Dharma temple. His ability to predict the future was second to none in the boundless continent at that time. But Xia Siming, I don't know anything. The only thing I can use is my heavenly sphere of light, Gufeng mumbled. He had no idea how to repair or create a magic array that could be comparable to the Dutian blood seal and stabilize the Dutian blood seal again. Heavenly sphere of light? This is also light magic? Xiao Wenshu's eyes lit up. It's my personal esoteric magic. Gufeng smiled for the first time. He was a failure as a person, and the only thing he could use was the heavenly sphere of light. Even Xiao Wenshu had never heard of this magic that Yun Sheng and the others called the strongest defense magic. Oh, show it to me. Gufeng couldn't wait to release the heavenly sphere of light as soon as Xiao Wenshu spoke. A magic heavenly sphere that was shaped like a sphere and contained rich magic power enveloped Gufeng. As Gufeng moved, the heavenly sphere also moved. Not only that, but Gufeng could also expand and shrink the sphere according to his personal preferences. Do you use a lot of magic power when you use this magic? Quite a lot at first, but after I broke through to become a sky magician, it decreased by a lot. Using it like this, as long as I don't get attacked, it doesn't use any magic power. Gufeng's face was indeed very calm. Xiao Wenshu's eyes were filled with astonishment. Even with his many years of experience in magic, he couldn't imitate Gufeng's magic in such a short time. There was actually magic in this world that he couldn't imitate. Was this all fate? Xiao Wenshu sighed. Chapter 1066. Xiao Wenshu had clairvoyance. The moment he saw Gufeng, Xiao Wenshu knew that there was something unusual about this seemingly honest and weak light sorcerer. After returning to the Duqian relay station, Xiao Wenshu asked Yunxing about Gufeng's fate. After learning about it, Xiao Wenshu made a deduction and came to the conclusion. Gufeng was Yunsheng's good friend. According to Yunxing, Gufeng was only a sky sorcerer. How could a sorcerer with such a cultivation level be able to draw a new magic array? The Dutian blood seal was the strongest magic array drawn by the 8 masters using the blood of the 8 leaders of the Bakra orcs. It had existed for almost 10,000 years and had always been the natural barrier between the boundless and the Bang lands. How could a mere sky sorcerer be comparable to the 8 masters and the leaders of the Bang lands? Xiao Wenshu couldn't figure it out no matter how much he thought about it. He had originally planned to discuss it with Gufeng after the heavenly mandate, but he never expected that Gufeng would come knocking on his door at night. Xia Wenshu took advantage of the situation and asked about Gu Feng's cultivation level. What surprised Xia Wenshu even more was that even he could not imitate the light sorcery that Gu Feng was most proficient in. Xia Wenshu's silence made Gu Feng feel strange. I already understand what Lord Fazhen meant. I'm afraid the key to the magic array that we have been looking for is on you. You are the savior of the boundless. Xia Wenshu's words made Gu Feng dumbfounded. Savior? Oh my god, he was the savior of the boundless? If these words did not come from Xia Wenshu's mouth, Gu Feng would have laughed out loud. But in front of Xia Wenshu, Gu Feng did not dare to do so. It was as if he had returned to the time when he had just entered the Magic Academy. His stuttering problem had actually resurfaced. Xia Siming, don't scare me. Such a big hat will crush me to death. Xia Wenshu did not say anything and only stared at Gu Feng. Gu Feng felt guilty under his stare and stammered, Xia Siming, are you telling the truth? Although he asked this question, Gu Feng could guess that Xia Siming was not joking. Perhaps a lot of people don't know that the Duqian blood seal is actually a light magic array. Its origin is very similar to the origin of your ball of light of heaven. Xia Wenshu and Chang Ximing had only discovered it after the blood seal had collapsed. The evil energy in the Duqian blood beast world was the most evil and filthy power in the world. If he wanted to seal the evil aura, he could only use a special light magic array of the opposite attribute. This kind of special light magical array had to meet two conditions. First, it had to have an extremely strong defensive power. It had to be able to withstand the attack of a large amount of evil energy from both inside and outside the seal. The other condition was that the magic array had to consume very little energy. In the absence of the Octotera divine artifact, the fewer magic arrays there were, the longer they could last. Gu Feng's heavenly ball of light just so happened to fulfill these two conditions. The more Gu Feng listened, the less confident he became. Xia Ximing, there's still something I don't understand. Magic arrays are dead, but I'm a human. I can try to maintain the heavenly ball of light, but I can't stay in the blood world forever, right? As a light magician, Gu Feng naturally disliked a place like the blood world that was full of killing and evil energy. Every time he went on an adventure he would try to hide as much as he could. From what Xia Wenshu said, if the heavenly ball of light could really stabilize the Duqian blood world, wouldn't he have to stay in the blood world forever? That's right. Once you draw a new magic array, you'll have to stay in the blood realm for the rest of your life until the moment your life comes to an end. Xia Wenshu's last sentence made Gu Feng's mind explode. Stay here forever? Then wouldn't he be able to see Ling Yun Sheng and abandon them? Would he also become a monster like Feng Tian? I'm sorry, Xia Ximing. I can't promise you that. Gu Feng subconsciously refused. He was worried that Xia Wenshu would make things difficult for him again, so he hurriedly ran out. Xia Wenshu didn't chase after him. A strange light flashed in his amber eyes. He seemed to be talking to himself but also seemed to be lamenting. If it could be changed so easily, then it wouldn't be fate. Outside the tent, footsteps could be heard. Elder Ximing walked in. Wenshu, did you find anything new? Seeing Elder Ximing's anxious expression, Xia Wenshu thought for a while and shook his head. Elder Ximing, who was originally full of hope, sighed. The night was as cold as water. After Gu Feng left Xia Ximing's tent, his thoughts were even more chaotic. He returned to the camp and went to sleep in his clothes. That night he had a lot of messy dreams. One moment, Xia Wenshu turned into an evil spirit and forced him to use his blood as a sacrifice to draw a new magic array. Another moment, Xia Wenshu turned into Ling Er. Her face was cold. Gu Feng, it's impossible between us. You're a coward. What I want is a great hero who can save the entire boundless world. After a while, Gu Feng returned to the small mountain village in his hometown. The originally verdant mountain village was now littered with corpses. The blood cloud beast was wreaking havoc everywhere. He watched as his youngest sister was swallowed alive by a blood cloud beast. Ah! Gu Feng's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He sat up stiffly. The sky was already bright and she was looking at him worriedly. Gu Feng, I've heard about Ling Er. She got up early in the morning and met Yun Sheng, who had just returned from meditating. He learned about the conflict between Gu Feng and Ling Er from Yun Sheng. All this time, she had been envious of Gu Feng. Although he was ugly, he had parents in Ling Er whom he admired. She couldn't ask for more. However, only she knew how deep Gu Feng's love for Ling Er was. Gu Feng's love for Ling Er was even more intense than his love for Yun Sheng. If he really separated from Ling Er, Gu Feng wouldn't be able to accept anyone else for the rest of his life. "Chi, I'm fine. I just had a nightmare. By the way, did they come up with a new magic array?" Gu Feng was worried that Xia Ximing had already told the others about him. Fortunately, Qi Ming's answer made him feel relieved. "There's no progress. It's not easy to fix a new magic array. If you're fine, get up quickly. There are some injured people outside who need your help." Xia Ximing is busy looking for a new magic array, and Yun Sheng is the only healer. She's too busy outside. Qi Ming came to find Gu Feng because he needed his help. Injured people? Didn't they already get treated yesterday? Why are there so many injured people all of a sudden? Gu Feng got up and left the camp for the relay station. Chapter 1067. Gufeng and Abandon arrived at the relay station. They realized that a large number of temporary sheds had been built outside the relay station overnight. There were many injured people lying inside and they were groaning in pain. Their injuries varied, but most of them were innocent civilians who didn't know magic or do qi. There were also some elderly, women and children. Ordinary people who were affected by the evil aura would have a high fever that wouldn't subside, and in serious cases, they would fall into a coma. Once the evil aura entered their organs, it would be like being poisoned. Their bodies wouldn't be able to withstand it and they would die within a few days. All of this reminded Gufeng of his dream in the morning. These are the villagers from the villages near the Blood World. Although Elder Si Ming had already sent out a large number of magicians from the temple and the corpses of the beast soldiers to eliminate the evil aura is everywhere. Some of it has already seeped out of the Blood World and spread towards the Boundless World. Abandon also received the latest news early in the morning. To the people of the Boundless World, the Duqian Blood Seal didn't only prevent the invasion of the 8 Desolates continent. It also had another function, which was to trap the evil aura left behind by the Bakra orcs in the Duqian Blood World. Once the Blood Seal collapsed, the evil aura lost its restraint. The elderly, women, and children who didn't know magic or do qi were the first to be affected. Ling Er and Yun Sheng were busy in the crowd. Seeing that Gufeng had arrived, Ling Er acted as if she didn't see him and continued to comfort a young girl. Gufeng didn't say anything and just used magic to treat the girl. Although there was only one healer and one light magician, Yun Sheng and Gufeng had developed a tacit understanding over the years, and the treatment went smoothly. Yun Sheng was in charge of reducing the fever, and Gufeng was in charge of purifying the evil aura. After a day, most of the villagers had already recovered. Only a small number of people who had inhaled too much evil aura needed to rest at the relay station. Donghuang Ling Er didn't know anything about medicine, so she could only help Yun Sheng by the side. However, her attention still slipped towards Gufeng from time to time. Gufeng was quite pleasing to the eye when he was administering magic treatment. Unfortunately, Donghuang Ling Er's heart ached as she retracted her gaze. Who is that person? He actually dared to perform magical treatment on behalf of someone who's infected with evil energy. When Elder Si Ming and Xia Wenshu walked over, they happened to see Gufeng treating an old man in his 50s. Just as Elder Si Ming was about to step forward to stop them, Xia Wenshu stopped him. Elder Si Ming was busy looking for clues about the new magic circle. It was not until dusk that she heard that the civilians around the Blood Realm were contaminated by the evil aura. After being contaminated by the evil aura, light treatment was undoubtedly the best. That was why Elder Si Ming had come with Xia Wenshu. Before Gufeng started the treatment, he first asked about the old man's history. That old man had encountered a strand of hostility early in the morning when he went out to do farm work. After the evil energy entered his body, it had been entrenched in his head. His head felt like it was being pricked by needles, and it would throb with pain from time to time. After Gufeng listened to the old man's family members explain the situation, a meteor-like light magic flashed on the unicorn scepter. The light magic circled around the old man's head. After about 2 breaths, a small lump of black, mud-like evil energy appeared on the old man's forehead. Under the effect of the gentle light magic, the black aura disappeared without a trace, like a haze that had seen the morning sun. Not even a trace of it could be found. Master, it seems like our worries were unnecessary. Even Xia Wenshu couldn't find any fault with Gufeng's treatment method. If it were him, this was probably the best he could do. I didn't expect that other than the temple, there would be someone else in the continent who knows such outstanding light-healing magic. However, his magical talent is too ordinary. I'm afraid he can only learn the most basic light magic. No wonder he wasn't chosen by the temple. Elder Si Ming was very sharp. He could tell at a glance that although Gufeng's healing magic was very strong, his talent was very ordinary. The influence of the temple on the boundless continent was not to be underestimated. Other than Penglai and Immortal Abode, the temple had branches in the other 3 countries. In this aspect, compared to the elite magic camp of the continent, the temple was much more commoner. Any magician with talent would be chosen to enter the temple at a young age. Gufeng was not chosen, so his talent must not be very good. Master, you're wrong. Judging a person's talent shouldn't only be based on the level of magic he can reach. Xia Wenshu didn't agree with Elder Si Ming's point of view. If a magician doesn't look at the level of magic, then what does he look at? Elder Si Ming rarely saw Xia Wenshu praise someone, and this person was actually someone like Gufeng. Master, did you notice that although his cultivation is not good, his Dharma soul was not affected by the evil aura during the treatment? He must have a pure heart. He has the cleanest Dharma soul in the world. He looked at Gufeng with sincere admiration. Magical talent is innate. A true magician's heart is the most important thing for a magician. Elder Si Ming was speechless. Light and darkness were like 2 sides of a coin. Many light magicians fell and became dark magicians in the end. This was also because their Dharma souls were not pure and their hearts were not right. Elder Si Ming, young Si Ming. Yun Xing went forward and bowed. She wanted to talk to Xia Wenshu privately about her mother, Hu Jiuxing. However, every time, Dollar would sneak out from some unknown corner and stare at Xia Wenshu. She didn't know if he was a fox or a dog that watched over his wife. Fortunately, Dollar did not appear this time. Elder Si Ming looked at Xia Wenshu, then looked at Yun Xing. Although he still had some grudges in his heart, he still tactfully went to the side and asked Gufeng about the treatment. Xia Wenshu nodded at Yun Xing in a friendly manner. If it wasn't for the ripple in his eyes, it would be hard to tell that he had a good impression of Yun Xing. Xia Si Ming, thank you for saving my life several times. I want to ask about my mother, Hu Jiuxing, recovering her memory. The Emperor Zhao and Red Jifang died and the clues to saving Hu Jiuxing were cut off. As one of the Emperor Zhao and Red's adopted sons, Yun Xing believed that Xia Wenshu must know something. However, to Yun Xing's dismay, Xia Wenshu's answer was that he didn't know anything. I'm sorry, Miss Yun. Back then, it was the Emperor Zhao and Red who placed the restriction on the 9th Lord. I can't do anything about it. Xia Wenshu saw Yun Xing's disappointed expression. Only after she had walked far away did Xia Wenshu take out the Netherworld ghost key that he had been carrying with him all this time. His expression was complicated. He didn't know if what he did was right. Chapter 1068. In the Duqian Beast Blood world, after the blood mark collapsed, the entire world became unstable. Hey Kirin boy, what are you doing here? Hey Kirin boy, what are you doing here? Hey, Baby Sheep didn't like seeing a tent full of injured people, so he snuck out to get some fresh air. He happened to see Dollar walking towards the Duqian blood mark. Out of curiosity, Bobo followed. Dollar found the Kirin King's tomb. When the blood mark collapsed, it created a scary power that was like an earthquake. The Beast King's tomb, which had lost the support of the Beast King's relics, was destroyed. In the middle of a broken wall, Dollar found a stone tablet. That stone tablet was the one Yi Baiming saw when he entered the Kirin King's tomb. It recorded the curse of the Kirins and the celestial fox people. Unfortunately, the last stone tablet was missing. Maybe it was because it had been broken for a long time, or maybe it was for some other reason. It was also because of the lack of this most important part that the golden Qilin Yi Baiming almost devoured his most beloved person Yun Sheng on his wedding night. Although Burning Demon allowed Dollar to suppress his anger and live with Yun Sheng, it also kept him in his Kirin form. Especially in the past few days, people like Shin Feng, Xia Wenshu, and Qi would covet his woman from time to time right under his nose. Yi Baiming was furious just looking at them. Yi Baiming came to the Kirin King's tomb alone, hoping to find a way to break the curse of the Kirin King. Unfortunately, after searching the entire Kirin King's tomb, Dollar still couldn't find the missing stone. Baby Sheep watched from behind. He wanted to tell Dollar that the Little Master knew the identity of the Kirin boy. Seeing the Little Master's reaction, she didn't care whether the Kirin boy was a man or a beast. But if the Kirin boy was always like this, when could he expect the Little Master to have a Little Master with the Kirin boy? At this time, Dollar's throat moved and he let out a low roar. Animals are animals. Their senses are still so sharp. His red hair was like fire. Under the dim sky, Duguxiu appeared in front of Dollar. Mubwa, red-haired monster, why are you here again? When Mubwa Sheep saw Duguxiu, he immediately thought of a violent stalker. Yi Biming, I didn't think you would become like this. Just from the arrogance and coldness in Dollar's eyes, Duguxiu was 100% sure that this golden magical beast was Yi Biming. Dollar was ready for a fight. His back was arched and the combat aura around him was as bright as the sun. Don't misunderstand. I'm not here to fight with you. I'm here to persuade you. Do you want to find a way to return to human form without harming Yunxing? Duguxiu was from the Black Qilin race, so he wasn't surprised that Yi Biming's true form was a Qilin. He just didn't expect Yi Biming to be a golden Qilin. A way to return to human form without harming Yunxing? Yi Biming didn't just want to know. He was willing to pay any price to obtain this method. However, Duguxiu was his mortal enemy and he liked Yunxing. How could he be so kind as to tell him? You don't believe me? I know you don't believe me. I can tell you that if He Yao hadn't ordered me to come, I wouldn't have come back. I want you to be like this for the rest of your life. Guarding your woman but not being able to obtain her must feel terrible, Duguxiu said unhappily. Mubwa, red-haired monster, the Qilin boy told me to tell you that guarding her is better than not being able to see her. Dollar can sleep on the same bed as master every day. Can you? Mubwa sheep rolled his eyes. Duguxiu's anger was stuck in his throat. He was almost choked to death by Mubwa sheep's words. Endure it. Why was he venting his anger on these two animals? Duguxiu's self-control was much better than before. He had been ordered by He Yao to find Yi Biming. In half a day, He Yao and the others would be able to pass through the chaos area and enter the weak area of the Duqian blood boundary. Before that, Duguxiu, who was in charge of the 8 Desolates continent, had been asked to bring a message to Yi Biming. Dollar growled again, turned around and left. Come back, Yi Biming. Don't you want to know the method? Duguxiu didn't expect Yi Biming to leave without even asking. This kid, whether he was a human or a beast, was so arrogant that it made people clench their teeth. Mubwa, red-haired monster, the Qilin boy said that you are ugly and evil at heart. Your dog mouth can't spit out ivory. Your stomach is full of bad intestines. He can't be bothered to talk to you, Mubwa sheep translated. After scolding, Mubwa sheep hurriedly chased after Dollar. When Duguxiu heard this, his eagle eyes glared and he almost rushed up to strangle Mubwa sheep. This damned beast seemed to be born with the ability to anger people to death. Yi Biming, as long as you fuse with the Qilin King's relic, you will be able to regain your human form. In half a day, He Yao, He Linlin and the others will arrive with the second batch of 8 Desolates tribe invaders. He Yao said that as long as you return with him and marry He Linlin, you will be able to fuse with the Black Qilin relic. I have already brought the message. What to do is up to you. Duguxiu's words echoed in the empty blood boundary wasteland. Golden Qilin Yi Biming didn't turn back. Tisk, stubborn. Duguxiu frowned. Compared to Yi Biming, he was more worried about Yunxing. He Yao would definitely not kill Duguxiu in order to find the person who could fuse with the Qilin King's relic. But He Linlin was narrow-minded. Once she met Yunxing, she would definitely kill her. He was He Yao's son and half of the Black Qilin tribe's blood flowed in his body. Fate didn't allow him to stand on the opposite side of the Bakra orcs. After struggling for a while, Duguxiu looked in the direction of the Duqian relay station. His figure flashed and he also disappeared. When Yunxing and Gufeng finished their respective tasks, the moon was already high in the sky. Yunxing realized that Gufeng seemed to be unhappy the whole day. When she returned to the tent, there was no one inside. It was Blue's turn to patrol tonight. As for Linger, she had a conflict with Gufeng and she didn't eat or drink these 2 days. Yunxing was also extremely tired today. Just as she was about to change her clothes and sleep, suddenly, the summoning demon hand and immortal holy grail in her beast language ring made a pleasant sound at the same time. This feeling. Yunxing raised her eyebrows. She subconsciously lifted the bed. Because it was a tent, she, Linger, and Sister Lan all slept on the same bed. Under Yunxing's bed, a black object fell out. It was really it that made the 8 barren divine artifacts in Yunxing's beast language ring react. Yunxing was almost excited as she picked up the object. The simple bracelet had almost no magical waves, but Yunxing still recognized it at a glance. It was the magic bracelet. To be exact, it was an incomplete magic bracelet that was missing a soul stone. Yunxing had only seen it in Chen Lianer's hands before. It was just that during the fierce battle in the Taiyuan castle, Chen Lianer accidentally lost this magic bracelet when she died. She didn't expect it to suddenly appear here. Yunxing naturally knew that the magic bracelet wouldn't appear for no reason. Someone must have left it behind. Chapter 1069. Who placed the magic deity bracelet here? Yun Sheng's mind went back and forth, but she still could not figure it out. She checked the magic deity bracelet again and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with it. Forget it, no matter who placed the bracelet here, it will be beneficial to me. Now that the Bakra orcs are about to invade, as long as the magic deity bracelet is repaired, I believe it will be of great help in the upcoming battle. Yun Sheng did not have time to think about who sent the magic deity bracelet. She decided to start repairing the magic deity bracelet immediately. Without further ado, Yun Sheng entered the Ling Long Beast Pagoda. She held the magic deity bracelet in one hand and the Enigma Stone in the other. She activated the Hellfire of the Fairies in both hands. The Hellfire of the Fairies was one of the purest fire seeds in the world. Under the burning of the Hellfire of the Fairies, the filth on the old and simple magic deity bracelet gradually faded away, revealing its true appearance. The Enigma Stone seemed to have been summoned and merged into the bracelet bit by bit. Ding! There was a beautiful and melodious sound that sounded like heavenly music, and a colorful light illuminated the entire Ling Long Beast Pagoda. The magical beasts in the Ling Long Beast Pagoda all exclaimed in admiration. After so many years, the damaged magic deity bracelet was finally repaired under the effect of Yun Sheng's Hellfire of the Fairies. The Hellfire of the Fairies faded away, and the magic deity bracelet descended gracefully. Yun Sheng just raised her hand, and the magic deity bracelet automatically slipped onto Yun Sheng's wrist as if it had spiritual consciousness. Unlike the usual bracelets, the magic deity bracelet's body was not made of gold, silver, or purple gold ores that were commonly used in the continent. The magic deity bracelet's body emitted a dazzling light that was as warm as jade. In the bracelet, if one looked carefully, one could see the magical power flowing inside like a gurgling stream. Once the bracelet was on her wrist, Yun Sheng felt a strong magical power entering her body. Almost without thinking, Yun Sheng summoned the Darkness Heavenly Thorn. Inside the exquisite beast tower, black-purple lightning flashed, and dozens of dark heavenly thorns that looked like the roots of an old tree fell from the sky. The momentum was so great that it was like a thunderstorm. Yun Sheng estimated that the power of these dark heavenly thorns was comparable to a super magic spell. Even a treasure like the exquisite beast pagoda was shaken several times by the dark heavenly thorns with astonishing momentum. Inside there was a foul atmosphere. The magical beasts in the exquisite beast tower couldn't help but shrink their necks and complain, "Master, if you want to test the divine law bracelet, why did you have to do it in the exquisite beast tower? You scared us to death." Sorry, I also didn't know that after wearing the divine law bracelet, my magical power would suddenly increase by so much. Yun Sheng stuck out her tongue. Yun Sheng couldn't be blamed. When the divine law bracelet was in Qin Lianer's hands, it wasn't that powerful. At that time, it was only missing a riddle stone. If Yun Sheng's words were heard by the mixed-blood master blacksmith brothers of the elf clan, Mo Yin or Master Mo Ku, they would definitely vomit blood in anger. On the continent, all of the master refiners knew that the higher the grade of a magic tool, especially a magic tool like the divine magic bracelet, not to mention the lack of a core soul stone, even if a corner of the bracelet was damaged, the power of the divine magic bracelet would be greatly reduced. Moreover, the divine law bracelet was different from other magic tools. It was a magic tool that boosted all attributes. In other words, the stronger the magic soul, the more attributes the magic soul had, and the more the magic soul could display the true power of the divine law bracelet. Comparing Qin Lianer and Yun Sheng, the difference between the two was even greater. This is? Yun Sheng was shocked. After she used the Dark Empyrean Thorn, she discovered that the divine law bracelet had changed. Inside the divine law bracelet, magic flowed like starlight. But in the center of the bracelet, Yun Sheng saw something like a magic array that was difficult to see with the naked eye. Yun Sheng's black eyes turned gold. She focused on the magic array with her Shinong eye. The magic runes on the magic array were clearly visible, but they were written in ancient script. Yun Sheng couldn't read a single word. "Bobo, my dear master, no wonder I couldn't find you. Yeah, Bobo, I only left for a while and you already found something good. This is a magic bracelet with a seal." Bobo Sheep and Dollar entered the exquisite beast tower. Bobo Sheep jumped forward and looked at the bracelet in Yun Sheng's hand. Bobo Sheep was a world god. As he broke out of his shell and was reborn, he inherited some of the memories and inheritances from the previous world god. He knew much more than Yun Sheng. With a glance, Bobo determined that this bracelet wasn't ordinary. "Bobo, you came just in time." Yun Sheng wasn't in the mood to ask where Bobo and Dollar had run off to after disappearing for a day. At this time, her mind was attracted by the small magic array in the Divine Law bracelet. Yun Sheng had never seen such a small magic array. Moreover, the magic array was engraved in the bracelet. Yun Sheng drew the magic array and showed it to Bo Sheep. Bo, can you undo the seal on the bracelet? Yun Sheng asked. Bo Sheep could ignore almost all magic arrays. Logically speaking, the seal on the bracelet should be no exception. My dear master, this isn't an ordinary seal. It requires the holder of the bracelet to reach the magic realm required by the bracelet before it will be undone. Bo isn't a human magician, so he can't undo the seal. As long as master reaches the divine law realm, the seal on the bracelet will be undone automatically. There should be a powerful magic hidden inside, Bo Sheep explained. Yun Sheng's current strength seemed very strong, but in terms of true strength, excluding her magical beast, she had yet to reach the divine law realm. Even if she had the divine law bracelet now and the magic she used was comparable to the magic of an ordinary divine law, she still couldn't hide it from the divine law bracelet. Yun Sheng couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Now the Bakra orcs' invasion was imminent. If she could obtain another powerful magic, it would be very beneficial to the boundless world and her personally. However, she immediately figured it out. There must be something unusual about a spell that could only be practiced by an archmage at the level of an archmage. It either required an astonishing amount of magic power, or it had powerful side effects. If she rashly cultivated it without enough cultivation, not only would it not help her, it might even damage her magic soul. The gains didn't make up for the losses. Well, it seems like I can only wait until I have a breakthrough in strength in the future to see if I can check the magic array. After Yun Sheng said that, she found that Dollar was staring at the divine law bracelet on her hand. Dollar frowned. Yun Sheng might not have noticed, but Dollar found a trace of a scent that he hated on the divine law bracelet. It was Duguxio's scent. Chapter 1070. In most cases, men were thick-skinned creatures and their intuition was duller than women's. But in some cases, a man's intuition was more accurate than a woman's. Especially when a man was in a state of jealousy. This magical bracelet was given to Yun Sheng by Duguxio. Yi Baiming didn't know how Duguxio got the magical bracelet, but at the last moment he still gave it to Yun Sheng. Perhaps because he also knew that Yun Sheng's situation was the most dangerous when Obsidian and the others invaded. Duguxio couldn't get rid of his identity as a descendant of the Bakra orcs, so he used another way to protect Yun Sheng. That man still refused to give up on Yun Sheng. Humph, this king will protect this king's woman. Yi Baiming was inexplicably unhappy. If he didn't know that this magical bracelet was of great significance to Yun Sheng's cultivation, he would have thrown it as far away as possible. As if she felt the displeasure of the gold coin, Yun Sheng also felt conflicted. This smelly fox, why is he making such a face for no reason? Bobo, where did you run off to so early in the morning? Bobo, oh no dear master, Bobo almost forgot the most important thing. Not good. The group of beast men from the 8 Desolates continent is about to attack. Bo Sheep was reminded by Yun Sheng and suddenly remembered. The red-haired monster said that the leader of the Black Kirin clan and the other beastmen would arrive in the Dutian blood realm in the next few days. Where did this news come from? Yun Sheng was shocked. She was only focused on repairing the magical bracelet, and in just half a day such a big thing happened outside. The red-haired monster Duguxio told us. Bobo Sheep secretly glanced at Yi Baiming and the latter gave him a look. Yi Baiming had heard Duguxio's last sentence. It had to be said that Yi Baiming was still a little hesitant at the time. However, even though he knew that Yi Baiming would be able to regain his human form after fusing with the Qilin King's soul stone, he was still unwilling to leave Yun Sheng at this moment. Putting aside the fact that the boundless continent was in danger, Yun Sheng and the others were risking their lives to fend off the invasion of the 8 Desolates continent. Yi Baiming did not really care much about the boundless world, but he cared about Yun Sheng's feelings. On their wedding night, Yi Baiming abruptly left, which was a huge blow to Yun Sheng. This was why Yi Baiming did not dare to reveal his identity. This time, if he left again with the little wildcat's temper, she would probably never forgive him in this lifetime. Therefore, Yi Baiming decided that he would never obey He Yao's orders and return to the 8 Desolates continent. On the way back, Bobo Sheep and Dollar had agreed that they would only tell Yun Sheng about the invasion of the Bakra orcs. As for Yi Baiming's method of regaining his human form, Bobo Sheep did not mention a word. Bobo Sheep, who had taken advantage of others, had once again betrayed his master without any integrity. It was not that Yun Xing did not expect the Bakra orcs to invade again, but she did not expect it to come so soon. Now there was no clue about the redrawing of the magic array, but He Yao and the others had already arrived. The news of the second invasion of the Bakra orcs was too shocking, and Yun Xing did not notice the unusual relationship between Bobo Sheep and Dollar. Without saying anything, she left the exquisite beast tower and went to look for Ji Rumo, Sister Lan, and the others to discuss this matter. Just as Yun Xing was repairing the magic bracelet, Gu Feng finished a day of treatment and dragged his tired body back to his tent. Halfway there, he unknowingly went to Dong Huanglinger's tent. In the tent, under the dim light, a familiar figure could be seen. Gu Feng recognized at a glance that it was Linger's figure. Yun Xing and Sister Lan were not there. "Linger, I want to talk to you." Gu Feng mustered up his courage and asked softly outside the tent. Hearing Gu Feng's voice, Dong Huanglinger couldn't help but become nervous. She hesitated for a moment but still walked out of the tent. The two of them walked towards the empty wilderness. "Gu Feng, I believe that Yun Xing has already told you about the matter between you and me." Dong Huanglinger had been looking for an opportunity to tell Gu Feng about her decision. Dong Huanglinger was a person who made a clear distinction between love and hate. Once she decided on something, she would not turn back. Even if she still liked Gu Feng, she would feel very sad when she thought that Gu Feng might have children with her after they separated. However, after knowing that there was no possibility for the two of them to develop, she still chose to let go. She would not tell Gu Feng her true thoughts. She hoped that Gu Feng would be able to live happily. After Gu Feng left her, he would definitely find a woman who was more suitable for him. "Linger, I understand. I won't continue to pester you. I only want to ask you, have I ever been in your heart?" Gu Feng wanted to use a smile to hide his sadness. However, the corners of his mouth were extremely heavy. That smile was even uglier than crying. "Yes, Gu Feng, I have you in my heart. However, there are many other things in my heart. My mother, brother, and the citizens of the Donghuang dynasty, they need me more than you." Dong Huanglinger held back her tears. So it turned out that she had him in her heart. However, she had someone more important to protect. Gu Feng had already made his decision. He said gloomily, "Linger, I hope that you can become the most outstanding empress in the history of the Donghuang dynasty." Gu Feng walked away step by step. When he turned around, he saw Dong Huanglinger raising her head and looking at the sky. She could hear Gu Feng's footsteps getting further and further away. In order to prevent her tears from falling, Dong Huanglinger, who was pretending to look at the stars in the sky, lowered her head. "Gu Feng, you idiot. Don't you know that there are no stars in the sky of the Duqian blood realm? After you left, I became the empress. However, there are no stars in my sky." Dong Huanglinger sobbed for a while. When she raised her head again, she discovered that there was something wrong with the sky. "What is that?" Dong Huanglinger rubbed her red and swollen eyes. In the sky that was less than 1 li away from the Duqian relay station, a huge whirlpool was forming in the originally cloudy sky. Dong Huanglinger recalled that the previous time when the fifth priest of the beast god altar appeared in outer space with the beast soldiers, a similar whirlpool also appeared. However, the whirlpool this time around was much bigger than the whirlpool that appeared when the fifth priest appeared. "Not good, the Bakra orcs are here again." Dong Huanglinger anxiously ran back to the campsite without caring about her sadness. When Dong Huanglinger returned to the campsite, Yun Xing had also arrived at the main tent. The two of them found their sister Lan almost at the same time. "Senior sister. Not good, a whirlpool has appeared in the sky. Sister Lan, the Bakra orcs are about to invade. We have to quickly prepare." Sister Lan saw Yun Xing and Linger. "The two of you have finally returned. Good news, we have already found a way to rebuild the magic formation." Only now did the three of them hear each other's words clearly. Chapter 1071. Yun Xingling, or what did you say? The Bakra orcs have already invaded? Sister Lan had also just received the news. Xia Ximing had already found a new magic array to replace the Duqian blood seal. However, it would take some time to draw the magic array. During this time, they needed someone to help guard the periphery of the Duqian blood seal to prevent any magical beasts or enemies from entering. Sister Lan immediately went to look for Yun Xing and Ling to tell them the good news. However, she couldn't find them even after searching the entire campsite. She didn't expect that after they appeared, they would bring the news of the Bakra orcs' invasion. Sister Lan hurriedly brought her people out of the tent and looked in the direction that Dong Huangling'er was pointing at. Indeed, in the sky it was like the sea before a storm. The originally calm sky was now filled with turbulent clouds. Within the clouds, there were faint black flashes of lightning. With such a strong wave, it could be seen that someone was forcefully breaking through the barrier between the 8 wastelands and the boundless continent. The other party's strength must be very strong. Otherwise they wouldn't dare to open the barrier with such brute force. The 5th priest had only used spacetime magic to bring a small group of people into the Duqian blood realm. It could be predicted that once the barrier was successfully opened, it would likely form a permanent flaw in the barrier. By then, the people from the 8 wastelands would be able to invade the boundless continent. The boundless continent would be facing a disaster. Sister Lan had already passed the news to Elder Si Ming, Xia Wenshu, Divine Wind, and the others. When everyone arrived, there was another black flash of lightning rolling across the sky. The vortex was getting bigger and bigger, and there was a possibility that it could be broken through at any time. The situation is urgent. The original plan must be changed. We have to make 3 preparations now. Xia Wenshu frowned as he looked at Elder Si Ming and Yun Sheng. Xia Wenshu's suggestion was to divide the manpower in the Duqian relay station into 3 groups. One group would escort the civilians who were still being treated in the relay station and some injured magicians and warriors out of the blood realm. Xia Wenshu hoped that this group of people would be escorted by Divine Wind and his elven warriors. This was because the elven warriors were the fastest and had the strongest discipline among all of them. Divine Wind pondered for a moment and looked at Yun Sheng. The latter nodded. Only then did Divine Wind agree with Xia Wenshu. The other group was in charge of ambushing the Bakra orcs that could invade at any time. Sister Lan, abandon and I can fight. I have beast soldiers and I can summon demonic beasts to fight. More importantly, I have fought with the Bakra orcs before. I have more experience, Yun Sheng said firmly. Xia Wenshu wanted to say something, but his eyes suddenly fell on Yun Sheng's arm. He was slightly startled. He remembered that Yun Sheng originally only had 1 bracelet on her arm, but today there was another bracelet. That bracelet. Then I'll leave it to you. We will hand over most of our forces to you. As for me, Gu Feng and Elder Si Ming, we will be in charge of entering the Duqian bloodstains. Xia Wenshu was touched by Yun Sheng's resolute gaze and agreed to Yun Sheng's request. Gu Feng? Why does Gu Feng have to enter the Duqian bloodstains with you? Yun Sheng was surprised. She originally wanted to suggest that Gu Feng and Divine Wind evacuate together. After all, he was a light magician. It would be easier for him to take care of the injured if he evacuated with the civilians. Although the Duqian bloodstains had collapsed, it was still the Beast King tomb of the 8 great beast clans. It was possible that the Bakra orcs would be the first to invade. Therefore, the location of the Duqian bloodstains was still very dangerous. Blue should have already told you that we have found a new magic array to replace the original Duqian bloodstains. The most important part of this new magic array is Gu Feng. He has to enter the Duqian bloodstains with us, Xia Wenshu explained. Just now the situation was urgent. Sister Lan only said that she had found a way, but she didn't say that Gu Feng was also involved. Gu Feng, you still hid such a big thing from us, Yun Sheng teased Gu Feng. Dong Huangling also looked at Gu Feng. Normally, if Gu Feng received such praise, he would definitely grin foolishly. But today it was unknown whether it was because the task of drawing the new magic array was too difficult or because he just had a conflict with Ling Er. Gu Feng's expression didn't change much as he forced a smile on his face. Since everyone's tasks have been assigned, let's start the deployment. Gu Feng, you can go with Elder Si Ming and Xia Si Ming to draw the new magic array. We will wait for your return. Yun Sheng patted Gu Feng's shoulder. She also stepped forward and gave Gu Feng a firm hug. Gu Feng, this time, you will be representing the continent's magic elite camp. If this is successful, I will recommend you to the magic elite camp to become a substitute elder, Sister Lan encouraged Gu Feng. After all, this was the first time Gu Feng took on such an important task alone. Moreover, his partner was a top-tier expert from the Dharma Temple. Looking at his expression, one could see that he was nervous. Everyone had been warned one by one. Only Dong Huangling stood to the side, not saying a word. Gu Feng resisted the urge to take the initiative to say goodbye to Dong Huangling and walked towards the entrance of the tent with Xia Wenshu and Elder Si Ming. Just as he was about to step out, Dong Huangling couldn't help but shout, "Gu Feng, you, be careful." Gu Feng's footsteps paused. In the end he didn't turn around. He only nodded heavily and walked out of the tent. You really don't want to tell her why you are doing this? You should know that after you leave this time, you might have to stay in the Duqian bloodstains forever. Xia Wenshu didn't want Gu Feng to have any regrets. When Xia Wenshu told Gu Feng about his mission, Xia Wenshu already knew that Gu Feng would definitely turn back. However, he didn't expect Gu Feng to agree so quickly. Some things were destined. The first Dharma God's magic bracelet fell into Yun Sheng's hands. The weakest person in his prophecy was also the strongest person. No need. I have already gotten my answer. I want my friends and the people I love to be able to live a peaceful life. I will just stay in the Duqian bloodstains. In the future, if there is a chance, they can still come and visit me. Let's go. After Gu Feng left the tent, he felt relieved. He raised his head and looked at the barrier whirlpool in the sky. The determination in his eyes became stronger. After Gu Feng and the others left for the Duqian bloodstains, Yun Sheng and the others didn't stop. Under the command of Divine Wind, the elf warriors successfully escorted the civilians and the injured out of the Blood Realm. Sister Lan, abandoned, there is one thing that I didn't mention in front of others. I have received reliable news that the one leading the 8 Desolation Beast soldiers this time is the patriarch of the Qilin clan, He Yao. Yun Sheng didn't tell Divine Wind and Xia Wenshu. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.